Oh, yes, my friends. One of the craziest days of the year in the hockey world. Free agency frenzy, July 1. Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Anthony Corona, here on Speaking of the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And folks, before we even get into free agency, crazy couple days for me personally. Development camp yesterday. We had the trade stuff yesterday. Development camp again today. And then we get the news that everyone was expecting and waiting for. We get the news that everyone was waiting and expecting. Devils agree to terms on 5-year extension release. New Jersey agrees to terms with its captain on a 5-year contract extension beginning in 27-28. The New Jersey Devils announced today that the team has agreed to terms with Captain Nico Hischier on a 5-year contract extension worth $58 million, which is an $11.7 million average annual value, which begins the 27-28 season. They give the breakdown of the contract. The announcement was made by General Manager Sunny Mehta. Since the day he was drafted as the number 1 overall pick in 2017, Nico Hischier has represented the New Jersey Devils with class, commitment, and a dedication to the community, said David Blitzer, managing partner. He puts the team before himself and wants nothing more than to win here in New Jersey. The entire organization is extremely proud that Nico wears the C for us, and we couldn't be happier that he signed this contract extension. No surprise here. I think everybody expected this to come. There's been tons of rumors. And 11.7, decent. Decent cap hit for the Devils. Bear with me. I'm just working through some things here. A lot of things going on. I'm pulling stuff up on my computer. But a nice contract extension signed by Sunny Mehta coming off the heels of yesterday where he got Grit signed to a team-friendly number. And the shaping of this team continues, folks. It wasn't all going to happen overnight. Sunny continues to make some moves. And so far, I think some have had their faith restored somewhat. I know a lot of people are still waiting for something else, but given the trades, the contract extensions we've just seen, we're waiting to see if there's any news today. But so far, it's been a pretty eventful and fruitful couple days for Sunny Mehta. Sunny. Gonna get in the comments in a second. Just looking at these guys coming off the board across the league. Oh, I would be remiss. You guys obviously want to know. Oh, I got to take this off. Meat on the bone scale. Meat on the bone scale. Nico at 11.7. How much meat was left on that bone? I got to think here. This is a tough one because, let me see. What is the cap for 27-28, which is the first year of this deal, is going to be 113.5. So 11.7 as a percentage of that is just over 10%. I'm going to go with a 3. Yeah, I originally was going 4. I think you could debate 4, but I'm going to go 3. 10% flat for the first year of it, I think is more than fair. I do believe part of this is you have to also take into consideration what other teams would have paid What are you guys talking about? He doesn't deserve 14. He got $11.7 million. What are we talking about? What are you talking about, Zach? He definitely would have got a good chunk more from other teams. No doubt about it in my mind. So I have to give him, I'm going to go with the 3. Left a little meat on that bone, didn't scrape it clean, didn't leave tons of meat, but I think it's fair to call the 11.7 a 3 on the meat on the bone scale. Sorry, he doesn't deserve 15. Zach, what are you talking about? He got $11.7 million. I don't understand what the confusion is. I have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, we wait and see what else is going to happen here. Let's see. Everyone's retweeting, or not retweeting, reloading, I guess, reloading or refreshing the same few Twitter accounts all day long. Seems like Friedman thinks Bobrovsky's going to Toronto, so I expect that to happen. Hellebuck is definitely going to be on the move, guys. Oh, how can I forget? Thank you for reminding me. Paul Cotter. Paul Cotter, best of luck to Paul Cotter with the Vancouver Canucks. He signed a 1-year deal for, I think, 2.1. Where the hell did it go? I can't find it. I lost the page. I think it was a little over $2 million. Best of luck to Paul Cotter. Not part of the Sunny Mehta vision going forward. But I'm just looking what I got here. I'm going to have to jump off here in a couple minutes. I'm not going to end it. I'm just going to step away for like 5 minutes. There's a Jesper Boquist media call. So I'm going to... Oh, but who cares about that? It's all about the cap hit. You guys are looking at the per year money. I mean, what are we talking about here? Just waiting to hear we got Stolarz. It makes too much sense. People were talking about that last night. The Jersey boy, could he be returning to be added to the mix? Let me see here. But development camp was pretty cool. They did a skills competition. There'll be a lot of video on that. I'm sure some of you were there. Michael S. I'm officially in the Bring Patty Kane to New Jersey camp. At the right price, I've been in that camp for years. I just think it makes a ton of sense if you could get him to sign a super team-friendly deal. There's a lot going on right now. A lot of people have no interest in Kane, but I think it's at the right price. I think it would make sense. Matt says, so we're getting Stolarz, right? A lot of people have been trying to will that into existence. James says, man, Devils are just running it back. It's 223. It's 223, and there's already been some minor changes. Nothing earth-shattering, but there's already some minor improvements. Matty, Sunny is the worst. He's not signing any free agents. I'm getting ready to deal with all those comments a little bit later for sure, if nothing is done. James Israel, faith restored. It's the same team minus our starting goalie and Nemitz, who scored a ton. I'm talking about in Sunny, faith in Sunny to have a vision and know what he's doing. People were just talking crazy stuff prior to yesterday, and it seems like a lot of people relented, as they should have, because he clearly demonstrated he could get deals done. And it's 224 on July 1st. Crazy Alex says, what's up with Quinn? Is there still a possibility? I mean, there's always a possibility until there's not, but I would say it's very, very small. We were talking about Nico. His cap hits 11.7. I don't know what you're looking at, the breakdown of the contract, which means nothing. Agreed, AAV. The yearly amounts mean nothing. All that matters is the cap hit. Mike says most of the fan base here are brain dead. Ignore the haters, ace. I don't think that that's necessarily fair, but there are some people that are just kind of living on their own planet, I would say. Bob, 3 years to Toronto, $7 million. What a gamble by them. Average Joe 96 says, I made a bet with my brother. If Hellebuck comes to New Jersey, I buy him a jersey. If he goes anywhere else, he buys me a Gritsuk jersey. That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, the 11.7 is all that matters. I don't know what people are looking at. I think maybe it's just people not understanding how it all works. They just see the bigger numbers. And oh my God, James. I think the Devils will be in the lottery next year. That's definitely just outlandish. Completely outlandish. Wearing a Patty Kane jersey to channel good things. What Patty Kane jersey do you have? Troy Machine, sad to see Paulie go. Think he would have done well on a line with Rodriguez. I mean, that could have been interesting, but it just didn't all come together for Paul Cotter while he was a Devil. Shootout specialist, but it's one of those things. It was time to move on. Sunny is crafting the team the way he wants to. There aren't any worthy free agents. There's a few I think that could be decent. Jorge Hartua. Is there any way they could trade Dougie Mercer? Oh my God, Meyer, he's your kid. This is no. This is just no. The answer is a hard no. Michael S says trading Nemitz to me means Quinn is signing or walking at the end of the year. Either way, they didn't need Nemitz for the trade. May or may not have been a piece they would have tried to dangle. Obviously, has value. Would the Wild have cared? But I just personally, I'm hoping the Minnesota extension, if it's going to happen, gets announced sooner than later so that people could stop talking about it, because it's just exhausting. It's completely exhausting. No, Nico's contract is not bad. People are just crazy. North Jersey hockey. I don't know. They were looking at technically the cap hit is the average of all the years. That I guess they were looking at the front loaded payments that are higher. And then being like, he's not worth that, but that's just the way it's structured monetarily. But the cap hits 11.7. It was a good deal. Good contract for Nico. SST says it is a good contract. I am happy. Devils should try to get Tarasenko. He was a guy on my list. He was on my list of guys that could be intriguing. All right, guys, I'm stepping out for a few minutes for this Jesper Boquist call. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Play nice. Don't kill each other in the comments. I'll be back in like 5 minutes or so. Maybe a little bit longer.
winning is hard, and then when you do win, it feels so much better. It's a grind, and you have to stick with it and work through it. And like I said, it feels so much better when it's hard.
And one more, if I can, Pete. Yes, for
Boquist,
you and
media
Nico,
call.
obviously, were part of the same draft class, 2017, and he actually mentioned you during his conference call after his contract extension. I just want to get your feelings. What does it mean to come back and play with him again?
No, it means the world to me. I mean, such a great guy, such a great player, great leader, great friend. You see how hard he works every day, and that's something he drags you into the fight, and that's the captain you want for sure. And I'm so happy for him, and I can't wait to get back after it with him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. A follow-up from James Nichols. Go ahead, James.
Thanks, Pete. Just one more, Jesper. You come over with Evan Rodriguez, who you've played with before in Florida. Just what can you tell us about the kind of player he is and how important he is to, a team looking to take a step forward and be a contender and, hopefully, aim for a championship here?
Yeah, I mean, such a great player, so smart, skilled, skates well. Yeah, like I feel like he could play with anyone. He's so smart, and like he did in Florida, he could jump up and down and make it work and make players better too. So he was such an important piece in Florida, and I'm sure he will be that in Jersey as well.
Thank you, James. Do we have any further questions for Jesper? Great. Thanks, Pokey. Looking forward to seeing you in Jersey soon. And thank you, media. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Pete.
That was the tail end of Boquist. All right, guys. I'm glad Jesper Boquist is back. I like him. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he fits in. Obviously, a potential bottom six guy. I do think, he'll find a spot, barring some unforeseen additions. Let's see. Just wading through some of these comments. You guys are killing me. All right, let me get my coffee. I need to get my coffee out of the fridge. Then I'm done. Then I'll be strapped in for the news here. But so far, let's just see. Some of you guys just need to chill, though. Give the man some time. Free agency started a couple hours ago, and he still could be working on trades because that's just gotta wait. Sunny. You gotta just wait. There aren't any worthy free agents. Helly to Buffalo would be. Sabres would be loaded up. Just the name. I'm hoping Line gets signed. Low risk, high reward, in my opinion. Worst case scenario, he doesn't pan out and they release him. Yeah, I mean, listen, the AFP analytics projection was a 1-year deal at veteran league minimum of $850. I think that would be honestly a no-brainer for any team. For $850, that is a gamble you certainly could take and it doesn't kill you. That's a worthwhile gamble to take. Let me see what we got here. I'm gonna grab my coffee. I'll be back in 1 second. This is the cold hard truth. I don't think the organization didn't want Shimo Nemitz to stay with the team, but $9 million. I'll be back 1 second. Grabbing the coffee. It was clearly never in the cards to be able to pay him that kind of money. It happens, and we move on. Krung says Nico's contract is great. People just don't know how cap hit works. I think so. Andrew Vincent Allen says 2 firsts, a second, Dawes and Mercer for Helly. Wow. I think that is probably in the realm of a realistic return. In terms of what Winnipeg would be looking for, that may get it done. Would Sunny Mehta be willing to give up a haul like that and then obviously accommodate the cap hit of Hellebuck, $8.5 million? As I've said before, I just don't think he's a guy that would, allocate those resources, both the assets you have to give up to get Hellebuck and the $8.5 million a year. I just couldn't see it, but it would certainly be a stunner. I know a lot of you are really hoping to see it. Jorge says, honestly, what does your gut tell you will happen today or the summer? I truly feel Sonny's very competent, way more than Fitz. I think they're in different stratospheres of hockey executive. I do think Sunny has already shown, despite it being underwhelming to many that are just looking for those superstar splashes, I do think he has shown that he is a very calculated individual. I keep pointing back to picking up those 2 extra picks on day 2 of the draft is huge. He had 4 picks in his pocket, and he ended up drafting with 6. He got 2 additional picks. The pipeline is depleted. The prospect pool is dried up. And with these guys, you're sort of gambling. I mean, it's definitely a gamble. You never know who's going to be a surefire NHL talent. But when you have 4 chances to find an NHL player and then you turn it into 6, that's some pretty good maneuvering. And then obviously the 2 contracts were very good. Grits and Nico's are good contracts. And the Markey deal, obviously. The Markey deal, huge. It cannot be overstated. To move off of a bad contract, improve the bottom 6, and then free up additional cap space, that's a job very well done. Samuel says it's a new world, people. 11.7 will look like dirt in a few years. Absolutely. The first year that it goes into effect, the cap is 113.5. So it's 10% of the cap. And then as the cap goes up, his contract will become a smaller and smaller percentage of it as time goes on. Good deal. Nico wanted to stay here. They got it done. Trouba, he was going to listen. This is the new cap world. Do I think Trouba, these guys are going to get paid? Byram just got, was it 12.5? I mean, my God, I can't wait. I'm personally waiting for a nice season from Luke Hughes that makes that $9 million look like pennies when everyone's crying about that. Yeah, Pedersen. And it's crazy to me. A lot of people have talked about potentially targeting him over the past couple of years. I've always said I don't think Pedersen would be a good guy to target. How to watch the Jesper Bratt media coverage. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Brown Hornet, so many armchair GMs as Devils fans. Relax, let the man do the job he was hired for. They want to see immediate superstars brought in. Michael S. Hillstrom at camp was tearing it up yesterday. It's camp, I get it, but he scored a ton on the video. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I guess I'll drop the link for that, right? Why not? And I'm going to be putting out a video. It might not be till tomorrow morning. I guess it all depends on how long I stay on here or if I take an extended break and come back. it's up in the air. But the skills competition they had today was pretty cool. A lot of Devils fans in attendance for that. It was a pretty cool event. They did hardest shot. They did like a relay type of event. They did the target shooting. It was a really cool event. I got a lot of cool video. But if you didn't see my day one of prospect or development camp, rather, I just dropped the link in the chat and then pinned in the chat comments. Follow your boy on Instagram and X. I'm starting to do some more stuff on there. Yeah, he's a beast. Van Hannon, he looks like he could be a good one. The Devils' 37th pick overall in round 2. Randall says, I don't want any of the remaining free agents outside of Kane or Tarasenko. I disagree, though. There are some guys that could fit, and I do think if you do see if there are some signings today, there's a very good chance that they're going to be underwhelming names, but they're guys that Sunny has really scrutinized and think provide value. I do think he's going to surprise some people over time with some of the acquisitions. I think people are going to be like, huh? But it's a methodical approach. Trust the process. Chris says, to be low-key honest, I don't really care who Sunny gets in free agency. Either it's Tarasenko or somebody else. And before I even got to it in the comments, this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Vladislav oh, man, this is a tough. Kolyachanik. Wow. I'm just looking at Vladislav here. Left D. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about 2 seconds before I got to this in this comment in the comments. I guess the Devils did not make this official yet, but his agent put it out. But this is a guy that Sunny has identified can play. And at $850K, that could represent another cap savings. There's a lot of questions about what else is going to happen on this blue line right now, because it's starting to seem like he may go for a complete overhaul. A complete overhaul. This is just another piece that kind of sets the table for that. Thinking NJ gets a deal done for Stolars now. Friedman saying on NHL Network, Quinn is going to sign 3 years, $50 million. I believe that number probably to be about accurate. It's about a $17 million cap hit. I mean, that's what he's going to – he's one of the best players in the league, guys. I know people are going to say it's crazy and no one's worth that, but that's where, you know, that's just going to separate the GMs who could stomach it and the ones that can't. TJW, what kind of coffee do you drink? Iced of some kind, of course. These are the hard hitting questions. Usually I'm going with either the Quick Check iced or the Dunkin'. The Quick Check has the nice, I've talked about this, they have the nice coffee bar, all the creamers and the mixers, and you kind of get to do your own little chemistry project there with all the stuff. It might not be AHL, though. That's the thing. Given what the blue line looks like today, that could be a move for the NHL. I'm not going to immediately dismiss it. I'm very curious to see now what gets done going forward. But with getting Chisholm, it seemed like he could have been. It certainly seemed like a guy that Sunny could have envisioned on the opening night roster to replace one of the more expensive veterans that we have at the moment. What? First of all, that's never going to happen. But I'd imagine most people that are fans of the sport would be ecstatic to add the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer to their team. Taxi to death, the only thing about Line A is you don't know the negatives you might have on the locker room. There's just too many guys, I think, that would prevent anything. Obviously, you know, but it goes without saying for me, anytime you're talking about these guys to potentially sign or trade for, you have to make sure you do your due diligence and be comfortable with that whole dynamic and that they're not going to come and be a problem. I do think there's enough leaders here for him, if he's coming as an outsider, that there wouldn't be a problem. But I suppose it could be a concern. But, you know, at this point, I think he's just looking to find a team where he could succeed, whatever that definition of success looks like for him now. But I certainly think he's capable of scoring 20, 25 goals. Michael Shane says, I'm guessing one of Kovacevic, Siegs, Dougie will be moved along with Nason and Mercer. The return, we'll see. Yeah, with all these little defensive pieces that keep getting added, it certainly seems like there's going to be some guys heading out. I would be shocked at this point if they're not. Yeah, Corbin. There's going to be some moves on the blue line for sure. Cheeseburger Daddy, Sonny goes at his own pace. He'll make the moves he sees fit. I don't expect any major moves this year. Let this year play out, and we'll see what happens during the season and next offseason. Well, first of all, there's a lot of weaponry for next season. With the 2 picks, Devils should be well positioned to make a big-time move at the deadline or sooner if it pops up. Randall, if Trouba can get you over $8 million, you think Line A only gets $850K. So I personally, there's a website, AFP Analytics, that gives projected contracts for all the free agents. They have Line A projected at a 1-year deal, $850K. I was astonished when I saw it. I expected at least like 1.5 to 2 million. I figured it would be low given his history and the injuries and all that. I thought it would be low, but I didn't think it would be that low. I expected it to be more than the league minimum, but anywhere near that, I think that is a totally worthwhile gamble. But we'll see. They could be totally off with their projections, but they're usually pretty good. But I do think teams would even gamble the 1.5 million. I'm very curious to see. Michael Shane says, I don't mean altogether in one trade. I mean in total for the summer. Oh, yeah. Obviously, it won't be in one trade. But, yeah, there will be a series of trades, I think. Brandon says, please explain to me because I don't maybe understand. Even though Nico gets 15 million this year, it's only 11 on the cap. Yeah, it's the average of all the years. So his cap hit is $11.7 million. All those other numbers, they're of no one's concern. That is basically the way it's being paid out. But the Devils are using $11.7 million a year against the cap for his contract. Johnny Danks, hey Ace, how legit is Elliot Friedman? He's chirping about Q's extension, 3-year, $50 million. Elliot is the gold standard in hockey news and anything hockey. Elliot is 1,000% legit. And anything he says is based in something he was told. Maybe he could be wrong once in a while, but it's not because he made it up. It's because things could change. But he is the most legit guy there is out there. Michael Shane says, I'm starting to think Dawes is on his way out too, especially if Allen isn't going. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Yeah. If Friedman says something, it's 100% true. Greg says, would like them to sign Larkin. Well, he's not a free agent, so they'd have to trade for him. Friends with Jack, put up points, option when someone gets injured inevitably and provides leadership, find a way to make it work. They'd have to trade for him. And again, that's another one where I just can't see it. It would take a ton of pieces to get him. The Devils seem to be set at center with the acquisition of Evan Rodriguez. It seems like they're all set down the middle. So I just can't see the Larkin thing. Marchman, 5 years, 6.75. That's a good deal for Marchman. Yeah. Mike Greer getting busy. Busy out there in San Jose. Chaz in Toronto. Always sunny in Newark.
Sunny.
Yes, it is. Anders Lee's an interesting one. Dire Wolf, we have 5 left-handed D-men on one-way deals. Betting Dilly gets traded. I'd imagine him and Jonas Siegenthaler would be the most likely ones on the left side. TJK says Vlad is 24 years old and look at the advanced stats. Great defensive zone numbers. Like this low-risk league minimum deal. Yeah, these are the types of moves that I think you're going to see Sunny make. Bobby says, I hope I've seen reports the Devils are in advanced talks with the Jets. I hope we get him. Did you see this anywhere credible, Bobby? This is my I might have to do an hourly reminder. This is your hourly reminder from your friend that you need to look at the source of whatever you're looking at because people are just writing complete BS regularly. The rumor nonsense is out there nonstop. He needs to get some AHL players still. He will. I don't know why the Devils haven't announced that one signing. It's Swerve 95 free agent snooze fest. Nico Dawes has been signed, friends. where the Devils might sign Lars Ulrich. I thought every one of these lives is technically your FAQ. It's about hockey. What's going on? Not everyone could be as active as Mike Rear and the Sharks. Yeah, the 850K might be their projection, but you give them the bonuses. Cool. If he hits them, you're glad to pay them. We saw that with Dodonov last year. He had a bunch of bonuses. I think he only hit some of them. Andrew Lucas says, I expect this roster to look very, very different next season. Sunny needs to have the stones to make serious changes. I think they're underway. Meadowlander, if Quinn signs 3 years with Minnesota, you have 2 years of Jack to get it done. Jack would have to be dealt in 2028 to get value back. This is totally just panic-driven narratives, in my opinion. I do think the Devils will be competitive well before then. Are you okay with Glass at 4C if Erod is actually going to play center? Yeah, I mean, I think most people thought that 3C was a hole for the Devils, last season. Now, Glass played decent in that role, but if you could get a similar level of play out of Glass at 4C and get a slight upgrade at 3C, then your center depth looks a lot better. And I do think that is the case as of right now. If Evan Rodriguez plays center, which I'd have to believe he would. Michael S. says, Dylan hits people. No other D-man does. I wouldn't trade him for that reason alone. Yeah, we got the Dawes deal. Let's pull that up. Devils announced today the team re-signed goaltender Nico Dawes to a 2-year contract with an average annual value of $1.1 million. The contract details are as follows: $975,000 for 26-27 and $1,225,000 in 27-28. The announcement was made by General Manager Sunny Mehta. Again, guys, so that's how it's being paid out. But his cap hit his $1.1 million. Dawes, 25, has played parts of the last 5 seasons with the Devils, sharing time between the NHL and AHL levels with the Utica Comets. Last year, the 6'4", 205-pound netminder played 44 games with Utica. 17, 16, 11, 278 goals against, 892 save percentage, 2 shutouts, and 3 games with New Jersey, 2-1 with a 262 goals against and 908 save percentage. That's funny. They mentioned the outdoor game. On February 17, 2024, Dawes led the Devils to its first NHL outdoor game win in a 6-3 victory against the Philadelphia Flyers as part of the Stadium Series game at MetLife Stadium. Dawes set a new NHL record, making 45 saves on 48 shots for the most saves by a goaltender in an NHL outdoor game. The 48 shots against were also the most all-time an NHL netminder faced in an outdoor game. Man, he's born on December 22nd, 2000. All right, but that's it. Dawes, 1.1. Is he going into the season as a starting goaltender, or is he going to be the man on deck in case of emergency? It does seem Devils re-signed Dawes 1.1. Sounds like Sunny envisions him at the NHL level. It certainly does. And if they don't add another goalie and this pans out, you're talking about a tandem collectively costing $2.9 million. The Maple Leafs just gave Bobrovsky $7 million. The Devils have 2 goalies at 2.9. Dawes is 25. Amagi, my G, appreciate you, dog. That was a great text earlier. Let's go. Dawes just signed. Allen Dawes or Dawes Allen? I think it's Dawes Allen. I don't think you could push Allen out there for 45 games. I think it's going to be the youngster. No choking, says Nico Dawes, baby. It's his time for the big show. Joseph Duffy, we're all talking about Dylan and Siegs potentially going, and one of the two definitely will, but feels like now there's basically no path for Casey. Feel like he's going too. It's quite possible. There's a glut of defensemen once again, and Sunny just added another one. It's a nice problem to have sometimes. A sign and trade for Helly. Matthew E. Quinn is 100% signing in mini. Nothing's 100%, but I think it's going to happen. Bjorkstrand, 1 year, 4.5 with the Rags. Okay, Metalander, hey, and with Bobrovsky in Toronto and Dawes signed, what do you predict will happen with Hellebuck? I don't know. I don't think it doesn't seem like a Sunny made a move to me. If I had to guess, the rumors are already there. I think the Sabres find a way to get Hellebuck. Cole says, totally separate note, Devils keep using the Stadium Series New Jersey logo on their post. That's got to be the design Fanatics is using for the next jersey rollout. Has Mantha been confirmed anywhere yet? I haven't seen it. Baseball Roman. I just want Quinn to sign already so we could all stop talking about it. We already know how much of a distraction it became last year, and I want it to be over. That's kind of where I'm at, too. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, once he signs, then everyone could just stop with the shenanigans. Jason says, I don't know if Sonny's going to want to spend these free agent prices. He's going to have to find, you know, some value deals unless he makes a trade. Or you sell a guy on the idea of coming to New Jersey and not taking max dollar. Leave some more meat on the bone. Yeah, the Byram, I talked about that before. I do think Luke's going to have a big year and is going to make that $9 million look pretty damn affordable. Damage Inc. 1986 says, if Dylan goes, there will be nobody left to fight on this team. Paying Nico that money and not protecting him again is insanity. I mean, I've talked about Brendan Dillon tons of times on this channel. A huge fan of throwback warrior players like him that will do whatever it takes to win and hit guys and fight. I do think he's a good locker room guy and a leader and all that stuff. There's a lot of the intangibles. I could definitely see him being one of the ones that gets moved out just because now there is a bunch of younger, cheaper options. But I do think if you do that, you need to replace some of those elements in the lineup somewhere. Dylan's the only guy with balls. Snow Devil Rodriguez could fit well on Nico's line and hopefully bring out some more grit from Timo with Mercer dropping to the glass line. You're talking about Rodriguez on the wing, huh? I mean, listen, it's nice to have a guy like him that could play center and wing. It gives you options. As it stands right now, I think he would I would have to believe Sunny sees him at center, because then you have a nice 1, 2, 3, 4 just straight down. But maybe, yeah, I guess we still have to see what happens with Bukestad. Maybe Sunny would leave him at. I mean, options are never a bad thing to have. Bukestad has 1 year left at 1.75. It could be, but that would certainly be interesting. Michael S., I want Dawes to start just to hear the stat. Less than $3 million for the entire goalie core during every game. I mean, it is a crazy stat. If that is indeed the tandem, it would have to be, I guess, I'm trying to think. Is there any, I mean, most teams will have one goalie making more than that. Baseball Robin says, thought Devils weren't in on Helly. It doesn't seem like there's any legitimate reports that suggest they are, but people keep finding these wackadoo, reports that are just kind of fabricated. Matthew E. says, Nico's definitely worth 11.7. People forget it's an open market. Your value is decided by what someone is willing to pay for you. And in this case, if someone else is willing to pay, then he's gone. He would have definitely got more in free agency, no doubt about it. Yeah, the Devils aren't putting out these like smaller moves. Yeah, I wonder why that is. Jay Snow is still the top 6 problem that we've had since the Foley. Agree with that. I think that's been the number one need for quite some time. And there is probably a good chance the season starts and that hasn't been addressed as of yet. Robertson, that's crazy talk. Meadowlander, I wish we could just go back to the cup jerseys with the black alternate and be done with it. That would be a pretty basic and clean design. For sure. What would your mock trade ideas be for what seems like a change in our D line? You mean the defenseman? Michael Ace, can Grits be a legitimate winger for Jack? I suppose. I suppose that he could, but I don't think most people would be happy with that going into the season. I think people wanted to see a surefire thing. That's a hope and wish it works out kind of thing versus getting a bona fide top 6 guy. Very different. And then you're talking about just doing with Grits what has been done with Mercer for a couple years. Snow Devil, is Dawes capable of being the number 1 goalie? Do we have anything showing us he's capable of that many starts? Because apparently Allen isn't up to taking 40 starts. Do we go with a 3 goalie rotation? I don't think so. I think you're either gonna realistically, I think Dawes is going to be the starter. If he's not, and someone else is brought in, then Dawes is kind of the third guy who would probably start in Utica and then come up in case of injury or potentially if guys need rest. I definitely am not a fan of a 3 goalie rotation, but I don't know. I don't think you're going to see another goalie brought in. If I had to guess, it seems like this is going to be the tandem. Does Grits, Hughes, Bratt sound like a good top line? Again, it could be. It could be, but I think most people would prefer to see a more known commodity on that top line, a guy that we know what they are. Meat on the bone mentioned for sure. Massive overpay for Byram. This is the world we live in now, guys. They're backing up the Brinks truck for everybody. Connor, that sports guy, says, from what I've heard, Dilly is a really nice guy too. Dilly is one of the over the years I've talked to and met a million players, and Dilly definitely is up there in terms of, you know, being one of the nicest and most fan friendly guys that, you know, with the media, with fans, with everybody. He's a class act. Mark Riches says, Ace, one more day here in Mexico for your boy. I'm so jealous, dude. Incredible here. But looking forward to being back in Jersey and watching Sunny do his thing with his roster. Lots of teams make mistakes this week. Where in Mexico are you? I wish I was there. Army says 9.7 cap, would like to re-sign McEwen for 775. I'm not even looking at the cap because that all could change with trades too. So it's like the cap is changing every other, you know, half hour. What's going on, traveling? Jubilee, he sure is a good player, but I think most of the fan base overrates him. Lots of puck bunny Karens out there. I mean, listen, but what does overrated even mean? Like, it depends on who you talk to. I would say he's also underrated by many. So it's just a little bit of depends on what you're talking about. Connor said Bukestad can play wing. He played wing at the tail end of the year. No, for sure. I'm just more curious if he's part of the team plans. And that's another guy that you have the option of center or wing depending on what the rest of the lineup looks like. Fourth period, doesn't sound like it. Michael, if Devils go into the season with a $3 million cap hit of starting goalies, how are they unable to sign or trade for a top player? You would imagine that having a tandem locked up at under $3 million would give you the flexibility to bring in one of those players. Michael, the Devils need a tough guy that can fight for the fourth line. They all signed today and doesn't seem to be any left. I mean, there's plenty of guys that could fight. I guess you're just talking. Are you talking about like a pure? I mean, Gouda signed for 6-year, $1.5 million. Yeah, our goalie tandem is making less than Stuart Skinner, exactly. But back on the tough guys, yeah, you need at least a little bit of it. You don't need a guy that all he does is fight. You know, those guys are pretty much done now. You need to be able to play hockey to some extent to have an NHL job, but I wouldn't mind seeing one of those types of players. Michael says Siegs, Mercer, and picks for Nyes. Man, you guys are really just not gonna give up on the big name acquisitions, it seems. The fourth period says NJ in talks with Winnipeg, but so are Carolina and Buffalo. What is the fourth period? Probably another Fugazi thing. Connor, that sports guy, according to Weeksy, Winnipeg was asking for a lot in return for Hellebuck. Apparently something like UPL, Jack Quinn, and Hellenius. Yes, CJOB. Yeah, he'll probably be 3C. The Nico deal is a good one. 11.7 mil cap hit. Pretty much as expected by most people. Good deal for Nico. Good deal for the Devils. Bobby, thank you for the super. I must have pissed off Ace. He keeps skipping me. Bobby, you get sensitive, bro. You say this, there's like 10 million comments, and I'm trying to look at things on my screen. I'm trying to look at the comments. I'm not intentionally skipping you. I don't intentionally skip anyone. Maybe SST sometimes. But outside of that. All right, now I lost my spot. Speaking of which, when's the jersey reveal? I'd imagine sometime in August if I had to guess. If top 6 isn't addressed, then they should have just stuck with Fitz. That's crazy, man. Why? Sonny's already at the draft getting those extra picks. Fitzgerald literally never did that. I don't even know if he knew you were allowed to do that, to trade back and get an extra pick. He's shown signs of knowing what's going on. I don't know how you could make such a claim. Oh, here we go. All right, so I saw a different fourth period. My buddy just texted me. Shout out to Steve the Maniac. David Pagnotta, somewhat credible. He gets his stuff wrong a lot too, but he definitely has contacts, and he's definitely legit overall. I'm curious to see where you see this about Helly on there. I'm scrolling down. Man, this guy posted a lot of stuff. Yeah, I still don't see the. Yeah, I don't see the Hellebuck thing on here. Bobby says, "Ace, stay positive. We were getting Helly. I could sense it in my loins." I don't know. I just can't see it. Moggy, Dilly loved my game worn Kobe Moose jersey when I went to the last season ticket holder signing. Due to super down to earth, we chatted about the jersey, but very nice. Yeah, Dilly, super nice dude. Damage Inc. Devils might have to go with veteran, the veteran players 1 year incentive laden contracts route and cross our fingers that 1 or 2 pan out. Mr. White is convinced. There's no way we walk into the 26-27 season with Allen and Dawes as our goaltending duo. You don't think there's any chance? I mean, it's definitely a gamble. Porto Vallarta, nice. Sick atmosphere last night for the World Cup game. Spent an hour in, I'm not even going to try to say that city the other day. How do we feel about Patty Kane or Giroux? Older guys, but proven commodities in Hall of Fame. Patty Kane is on a list. I put out a list the other day of 5 guys that I thought could be interesting. Patrick Kane was on mine. I guess Giroux would kind of fit the bill the same. Not quite as, I guess, appetizing as Patrick Kane to me personally, but in terms of a veteran guy who's been around and done and seen everything, I think it's got to be cheap. But yeah, you consider all those types of things, and then people will complain about that too. Yeah, Marchman signed in San Jose. Mr. White wants to see Stolars and Nyes for Mercer plus Bukestad plus 2 first-round picks. The whole jersey reveal thing of the Devils rebranding, no, they just retired the alternate jersey, the black one, and there's going to be a new jersey introduced at some point for next season. And Steve the Maniac, we trust. Jay Snow, why every live we never sign anyone? Well, there's been some signings already. Robert Paulser, imagine a deep pair of Dilly and Trouba, but to be honest, I'm good with everything so far. Still the rest of the summer, and don't forget trade deadline will come eventually. I hear Devils are in talks with bring back Kovalchuk. Yeah. Mr. White, Ace, what's the negative vibes? You want win now pieces, but crap on win now options. No, I'm not crapping on it. I just don't think it's realistic. I don't think Toronto's trading him. I think that would be a deal that certainly improves the team and definitely is a win now move for sure. I just don't think it's realistic. Sunny must really love Dawes. I mean, he got $1.1 million. There is a chance that he's not earmarked for the NHL next year and we see another goalie come in. But there's a chance that he is here. Ethan is thinking ahead. Do you think our boy Sunny makes big splashes in the trade deadline if we were close to the playoffs? Or no, he has 2 first-round picks. I'd imagine that's part of the strategy to be in a position to take a big swing at free agency. Mr. White, if we walk in with those 2 as our tandem, we better hope to God none of those guys get injured. Obviously, you could be one with that tandem. You're an injury away from a potential catastrophe. Stick Figs, I could see Sunny Pokerface Mehta starting the season out with an Allen Dawes gamble, and I'm okay with it as long as he rights the ship quickly if it doesn't pan out. The problem there, I think, would be that in season it probably will be much more difficult to get a good option versus now or at some other point in the offseason. Daniel says the Devils will finish last in the Metro if they walk into the season with Allen and Dawes as their goaltenders. You're really that down on them as a tandem, huh? Connor, this is way off topic, but do you think Jonathan Toews should go to the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. I know he had that health thing. Let me see. Yeah, I think he gets in the Hall. 3 cups, almost 1,000 points. It may take him some time, but I think he is worthy. What do you think the goalies are? They don't. It doesn't scream win now like you went out and traded for a big time goalie. But if that is in fact the tandem, Sunny believes that they could get it done. Jason says Toronto's going for it. I don't see Nyes getting moved. Neither do I. Laura says, will the Devils ever trade Luke Hughes? Not anytime remotely soon. Bobby, who's going to be your first player interview? I have no idea. Nico, Grits, Brat? Yeah, I'd be happy to interview any of those guys. TJW, I'd be intrigued by Connor Ingram on a cheap deal to add into the mix with Allen and Dawes. I could see something in that realm to have 3 guys in case someone gets injured. How old is Ingram? 29. Yeah, I'm curious what he would cost. Nothing on Quinn yet. I don't think it's going to happen today. Robert, you have to realistically keep Dawes. Even if we got a new netminder, that one or Allen could get hurt. Dawes is your third. Coral Productions, what would it cost the Devils to trade for Hellebuck? Supposedly they want a ton for him, so probably at a minimum a first, a player, and a prospect, something like that. Maybe multiple firsts and a combination of those pieces, but it certainly would be expensive. Kevin Schwartz, I feel like based on where we are right now, we should swing Mercer and some of those picks for Robertson. Robertson, Heischer, Timo line would go hard. If only it were that easy. I don't know if that would even get it done. I would have to believe Dallas would demand a more impact roster player in the deal. I don't see how you get Robertson without including one of the core guys. Stick Figs, it's going to be more difficult to get a goalie midseason, but that's not my problem. If Sonny wants to take the gamble, then he better have a plan if it goes south. Connor, that sports guy, does Toews get in before Elias? Oof. What's even trickier about that is because he came back and played, it reset the clock on his eligibility. So I don't think Toews is. I mean, is it possible that just because of name and he played in an original 6 city that he gets in his first year of eligibility? That's a really tough question. I can't answer that one. Because you're talking about his clock being reset. So Patty would have to get passed up 3 or 4 times before, more times than he's already been passed up for Toews to get in before him. Baseball Roman on the Hall of Fame. Why do you think Elias has been, in my opinion, snubbed in the way he has? Seems like he doesn't have a shot at getting in, which is crazy to me. I think he ultimately will get in eventually, but they're just prioritizing guys with slightly flashier stat lines. I think that's just what it is. They love the 500 goals, even though they kept Keith Tkachuk out forever. Stereo Design, you'd think that Sonny knows exactly through Jack where Quinn stands with Minnie, so he's operating with more knowledge than we do. 1,000% Stereo. What's up, man? I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. I've said that from the beginning. I think that, Sonny and the Devils knew a long time ago what the plan was and have operated accordingly. Does Eliash get in before Zetterberg? That I'm going to say no. Well, actually, let's see. When did he retire? I feel like around the league, Zetterberg would be considered a bigger name. 1082, and he had 960. Yeah, I mean, Patty played a few more seasons worth of games, has 65 more points. Zetterberg. But again, playing for the Red Wings is an advantage. And Patty has 3 cups. I mean, if you compare their resume, Patty's is much better. Laura, what are your thoughts on Tobias Villain? Will he get called up from Utica? I think he could if there's injuries. He's another one that's kind of in this group of extra defensemen where you never know what happens. Especially at this juncture when we have not seen the trades that many people are expecting to happen on the blue line. There's a ton of options to free up spots on the defense, but he actually, he's an RFA. Did they give him a deal? I can't keep track of all this stuff. Now I'm trying to see the list. The skilled free agents flocking to Newark. I don't think Sunny has been rejected by anybody. I think we would have heard that. I just don't think he's targeted anybody as of yet. I thought we were out on Robertson for forever. I don't think they were ever in. Michael S., the best thing Sunny can do for me is clear out the D-mess. Who are the starters? Who are the guys pushing to make a case? We have way too many bodies and no idea of the ranking. I think there'll be slightly more clarity on that as we move forward, as some of these guys probably get traded out. The Ethan Sem says 3-team trade where we get Quinn, Minnesota gets Werenski, and CBJ starts the rebuild. I can't see it, but anything's possible. Stick Figs, who do you want to see go into the Ring of Honor for 2027? I'll say it once, and I'll say it again, Dancing Earl. I don't think they're going to get into, I mean, I think there should be some sort of nice thing for Earl in the arena, but the Ring of Honor is pretty excessive, in my opinion. That has to be like for players, coaches, executives. Andrews adamant Quinn isn't signing with Minnie. Take it to the bank. Wiz D. Dawes should remain the third. Need a new number one. Neither Dawes nor Allen should be playing 40-plus games. They're both great backups. Who would want Mercer, Mr. Empty Net? Mr. White, is reported by every credible source that Toronto is actively trying to move Nyes, saying they would rather move Nyes than Count. Then are they unrealistic on the return? I'd imagine a bunch of teams would be interested. We have enough for Werenski with 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years. The Devils definitely aren't going to be looking at Werenski. Stick Figs, Mercer's Ironman streak has to be a pretty good selling point for a lower stakes bottom 6 signing. You would think. SST, Elias won't get in. You don't think he ever gets in? Andrew Lucas 6 is Elias really a Hall of Famer? At no point in his career was he considered a top 10 player in the league. Never. Well, fortunately for Patrick Elias, Andrew, being considered a top 10 player in the league is not, I repeat, is not a prerequisite to get into the Hall of Fame. Robert East is our next Ring of Honor winner. And it's going to be what should have been a joyous occasion. We'll have a slight, not even slight, it's going to be very sad and depressing. And I'm not just saying this because he's no longer with us, but Claude Lemieux, in terms of players, Claude Lemieux was at the top of my player list. Anyone who's watched me for a while knows whenever I talk about the Ring of Honor, Claude Lemieux is always a guy that I've talked about should be amongst the next inductees. And definitely in the player category. I don't know. Maybe it's too soon and maybe they'll wait some time. He definitely was going to be put in the Ring of Honor at some point. But obviously Lou Lamoriello belongs in there. There's a bunch of other players as well. Chico should be in it. There's a bunch. I don't know how they're going to kind of prioritize the order they do it. Cam Johnson for Ring of Honor. Arlette. Dry fly only. Okay, so really excited about Sunny and trying to forget about all the trauma we sustained. Most of us said at least one of the core pieces need to be moved. Otherwise, I'm expecting the same results. George Shannon, happy Nico Day. Great deal on goalies. If the defense performs, we should be in good shape Nice marquee move. What's my thoughts on Declan Chisholm? I think that Sunny has him pegged as a guy to start the season with the Devils, and I think someone's going to be moved out to free up cap space. Justin Smith, we know what we are getting with Allen, but we don't know how Dawes will last in the NHL. We don't, and we may find out, and we certainly may find out. What is Dawes at this juncture of his career as an everyday NHL player? He's been waiting for the opportunity for a while. Connor, that sports guy, says I'd say the next guys up for the Ring of Honor are Kirk Muller, Travis Zajac, and maybe Gomer. They're all definitely worthy, but in my opinion, there is, for me, Gomer should get priority of the group you just said. You have to prioritize cup winners, champions. Gomer, two-time cup champ. Calder, winner as Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, Travis Zajac and Muller did not win cups with the New Jersey Devils. Lou is definitely going to be in the ring at some point. Stickfix says if we're being for real, post-mortem induction for Claude is due. He's certainly going to get in. Jason knows that Elias should definitely get in the Hall. TJW says I'd argue that Elias was considered a top 10 player circa 2001. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think on most lists at that time, he probably would have fallen in the probably 15 to 25 range. I mean, the league was loaded with stars then, man. So many. Jason knows that Elias was a complete 200-foot player. For sure. And part of a winning team. Connor said, I mean, that's true. You really think Chris Chelios was a top 10 player at any point? Scotty Stevens? A lot of these guys, that's my point. Like a top 10 player that's pulled out of thin air. It means nothing. Stickfigs, I'm still traumatized from last year's snoozer of a Fitz agency. Damage Inc. Doc Emmerich should be in the ring. Use a microphone image instead of a number. I agree with that for sure. If not something potentially bigger than the ring, but I guess the ring is pretty fitting. People here are not going to like Chisholm.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I guess you're not entertained yet, but hopefully something happens to entertain you. TJW says Langenbrunner would be a good Ring of Honor candidate. I agree with that as well. For sure. Captain of the Devils, 2003 Cup champ, monster playoff, en route to that cup. Damaging says Muller is the most underrated Devils player of all time. Dire Wolf, I trust Sunny, but being one Jake Allen injury away from a Dawes Malik combo makes me nervous. TJW says Elias was third in scoring in 2001 in the entire NHL. Yeah, that's cool, but I still don't think if you polled people around the league and said, who are the top 10 players in the league, I still don't think they would have put him on the list. There's no way to go back in a time machine and prove that. And I'm sure, people, Devils-centric or people in the Devils ecosystem may have, but if you polled, journalists or media or even whoever, I don't think you would have seen his name on many lists, given the amount of stars, tons of the stars of that era. My God, lots of them. Thoughts on Patrick Kane? He was on my potential target list. At a low price, I think that would be a good move. A veteran with tons of experience, a winner, a leader. I think he could be a great mentor for Jack Hughes and some of these other younger guys. I think that would be a great move, but it would have to be cheap for it to make sense. Yeah, this is this is basically the golden era of the NHL. Madonna, Yager, Sakic, Forsberg, Fedorov. Yeah, you just go on and on. The league was loaded. You said Sakic. Yeah, but you could even, and if you're not including, if you start including goalies, it's an even more crowded list. But you got, the Brett Hulls of the world. There's just so many. Michael says, I think Dawes Allen does fine. Everyone wanted Blackwood gone, and look at how him and Wedgwood are with a solid team in front of them. I'd spend remaining cap on skaters and see what we have with Dawes. Stereo design, I have to drive for 2 to 3 hours, so guaranteed something will go down within that time. It's possible. Andrew Luca, they should skip the Ring of Honor and build a statue of Lou. I can't see it ever happening, but I've talked about that in the past. I do think Lou is worthy of a statue. For sure. For sure. Who knows if the team is even still in New Jersey, if not for Lou Lamoriello. The team may have just floundered and ended up moving beforehand. James Israel, hoping Sunny can make a move, but he was a coffee boy in Florida and was a losing poker player. Not good. James, you're ridiculous, man. I don't know. First of all, how do you even know how he is at poker, number one? And number two, where are you getting that he was a coffee boy? On the flip side, you could make the argument that he was the brains behind the operation. I'm not saying that he was, but it's just as likely as him being the coffee boy. TJW, Dawes has potential. He's far from a sure thing, but he hasn't gotten a fair shake. 6 games in 24-25 and 3 in 25-26. Give him 20 starts this year and then reevaluate. Well, I think that the issue that people are having with that, TJW, is that if you go into the season with him, you do this little 20-game stretch or 20-game sample size, and he doesn't look good. Where does that leave you at that point? Michael, you can't. So some people just can't be helped. He says James Sunny has already made some good moves. He wants superstars, man. Connor, that sports guy. Maybe the next ring inductee should be Bernie Nichols, Phil Housley, and Dave Anderchuk. I can't see any of those gentlemen being in the ring. Mogilny or Arnott in the ring. So Mogilny, I do not think will ever be in the ring. Arnott is certainly worthy, in my opinion, and I've talked about in the past, I think it could be super interesting to induct entire lines into the ring. And so obviously with Jason Arnott, the A-line, Patty already has his jersey retired, but the A-line going in as a unit, Patrick Elias, Peter Sikora, Jason Arnott, the A-line as a line for the Ring of Honor, I think would be very cool. And I think the same exact thing about the Crash line, Randy McKay, Mike Peluso, Bobby Holik, that for them to go into the Ring of Honor as a line, I think would be really cool and make sense. James Israel, is Jack Hughes not liked? You would think some of these Americans would want to team up with him. There's way more issues at work when guys are deciding where to go. Do they want to, especially when you're a guy like Kane who already has a ton of money, you've already won. So you could kind of be really choosy about it if he wants to continue playing. Can the Devils and the state of New Jersey offer him something that would entice him if the Devils were interested? Michael S. says, what is the point of having good prospects if we never use them on the big club free dollars? Getting Kane would be a punt. I disagree. We're going back to the 2001 Starfest. Paul Correa, Timu Solani, Daniel Alfreds, and there's so many. Michael Russell, also Pando and Madden being a shutdown shorthanded line, amazing to watch. Both of them two-time Cup champs with the Devils in 2000 and 2003. They would be on my list. Where is something American that wants to come play with Jack? Amagi says, James Goober. Connor, that sports guy, would have had Cujo and Rod the Bod from St. Louis if it wasn't for Lou. Very true. Lou stuck to his guns and was like, no, St. Louis. We want Scott Stevens for your tampering crimes. We will not take this package, which is crazy to think about because Cujo and Brindamore are both very good players as well. But would likely not have had the impact on the organization that Scott Stevens did. Michael S. says he'd be in favor of Arnott in the Ring of Honor. Stick Figs, I don't know how good Sonny was at poker, but they're not letting the coffee boy on the ice to lift the cup. Very true. Very true. Look at that coffee boy.
Sunny.
The coffee boy looked good on the ice. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous to just to say stuff like that. Jason says Sonny washed the car, so now he was the car washer. Michael says if Dawes works out, it's a goalie tandem under 4 million AAV combined, which is crazy. Worth a gamble. Michael, correction. It's under 3 million. It's 2.9. Daniel Sprung for Ring of Honor. Nichols, Halsey, and Anderchuk was a joke because they're all Devils for like half a season. Anderchuk had, I think, like, was it 2 years, a year and a half? No, maybe even more than that. Yeah, it was like, yeah, we got him in the middle of the 95-96 season. Then he had 2 full seasons and then till the deadline in 98-99. Decent little stint with the New Jersey Devils. Holik, definitely another one on my... basically all the 2-time Cup guys are on my list. Holik, Gomer, Claude Lemieux, Pando, Madden, Rafalski, all those guys. Michael says, love inducting lines, make it happen, Ace. If only I had that power, but I do think inducting lines would be absolutely phenomenal. And it makes sense. You could honor multiple guys with one, whatever you want to call that, the hell that a wall plaque. I don't know what you call that thing, but I think that totally makes sense. Jason knows that I think Sunny's really building for 27-28. Well, I mean, I think it's possible that that's when he plans on being slightly more aggressive, but that's not to say that he's giving up on this season. Michael says, side note, Gen Pop shooters for life. Seahawk Devils says, Ace, you're getting antsy. No. Do you know why I'm not getting antsy? Because, hold that thought. I'm going to be back in a second. For those just joining us, I mean, obviously you know this, but Nico Hischier, guys, signed a 5-year deal at an $11.7 million cap hit and will remain in New Jersey for 6 more years because this is a 5-year extension. He has 1 year remaining. Had 1 year remaining on his current deal, but he's going to be here for a while. The captain.
It's pretty, and he lives in Jersey City, number 13, Nico Hischier.
Nico Hischier, 11.7 mil. Nurse to San Jose. Mike Greer is just going out there and doing big things. Jason said, did Sunny ever win a World Series of Poker? Not to my knowledge, no. Brendan Moore would be coaching the Devils today. Maybe. Because Brendan Moore didn't stay with St. Louis either, so. Irish guy, Polish last name, says, unrelated to the Devils, I wonder if Kane is interested in signing with his hometown team. They already lost their boy Tuck. That would be interesting. Bobby, how short of a leash you think Keefe is on with this team if the team is 500, 20 to 25 games in? I would say 500 is not, like, at that early. I don't know. I guess it depends on a lot of other factors. Like, how do they look? Do they look competitive? Do guys look like they've given up? Oh, I got to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. And then I'll just leave this up for a minute. Dawes is back. We talked about this, but a lot of you are not believers in a Dawes-Allen tandem, and it certainly is a calculated gamble. But Sunny's still looking at options, guys. Until the Devils schedule a media availability with Sunny Mehta, he is still working, whether that is for more small-time deals that you people are going to scoff at because you're just superstar, looking for superstar additions. But I'll be back in a minute using the bathroom. But Nico Dawes, will he be the starter? Was that a third goalie type move?
He breaks laws and maybe jaws. Kicking him in net, Nico Dawes.
Kicking him in net, Nico Dawes. Be right back. Oh, former Devil prospect Shakir Makamahal-Doolin. I almost said that right. Might be part of the return. Nurse to San Jose, you say? Let me pop an earbud in here. All right, let's see what we got here. Bernie Nichols played 84 games for the Devils over the 92-93 and 93-94 season. Sakura on his own, I don't think it's tough, right? I think Peter Sakura has a special place in franchise history, but one cup, I that's why I feel like him and Arnott are in similar. I mean, Arnott deserves it more just because the most famous goal in franchise history, which is right over my head here, this way, a cup winning goal. But I think that's why, you know, the A line as a line being inducted into the ring is nice because you get to honor both Sakura and Jason Arnott, and then honor Patty again, obviously, as the ultimate honor with the jersey retirement. Bobby Holik was not on the 2003 team. He famously left for the Rangers in free agency in a $45 million payday. The Rangers gave him 5 years, $45 million. Crazy. Michael S. says, Anderchuk could roof a puck to the top of the bar from 6 inches out. It was incredible to see. Special finisher. Breland is in the ring. He was the second guy inducted after a long pause where they didn't do it for years and years. Dr. McMullen was the first, and then Breland was the second. Jason said, I'd love Anders Lee. I don't think Sunny will pay for him. I completely agree. The fact that he didn't return to the Islanders and they offered him something tells me that he's chasing money. Henrique Gets Over is certainly not more famous, and that just shows your age. It's not even close, my guy. Not even close. Jason Arnott was a cup-winning goal, and while the Henrique goal is a great all-time franchise moment, it was a Stanley Cup berth clinching goal, and obviously elevated by the fact that it knocked out the Rangers, and it's a great story. It's a great moment in team history, but it certainly is nowhere near the Arnott goal. And even if the Devils went on to win the Cup in 2012, it still would be miles and miles away from the Arnott goal. But then you're talking about the fact that, again, conference finals versus Cup, and the Devils didn't win the Cup that year. It's a distant ocean of difference, but a great franchise moment nonetheless. I think the Devils did forget. I'm not exactly sure what happened, why it was like, I think it was like 6 or 7 years that it just sat stagnant. And those were valuable years because we should be getting guys in there more often. But I do believe they will be doing it again this year. Obviously, have no idea who the inductee is. There is, you know, we just talked about a bunch of guys who are more than worthy over the past couple minutes. No, this Evander Kane stuff is complete nonsense. Rabid Monkeypox, the San Jose Sharks are pretty much a new team this year. A lot of change. Lots of change. Joe Cates says Rico is close, but Arnott's is higher. I don't even think it's that close. I don't even think it's that close at all, to be honest. The Henrique one's a huge moment in franchise history, but there's nothing remotely the same as a cup clinching goal in double overtime. Yeah, San Jose is going to be interesting opening night. CJ, is Pettersson really going to the Rangers? Wow, that reeks of desperation, in my opinion. I would love to be a fly on the wall or like trailing Elliot Friedman on a day like today. His phone must be exploding. Apparently, Anders Lee is sifting through all of his offers and going to make a decision. The championship to New Jersey for Devils calls, absolutely. The 95 Cup call from Doc Emmerich, definitely number one. Oh, Marcus. Okay, I was like, what? I'm trying. I can't even keep. I totally forgot about the JT Miller thing. I still would love to know the whole story behind that. I don't know that we'll ever know. Where do all these people like Kaplan, Friedman, LeBrun get all their info from? I'd imagine a myriad of sources, which would include, people inside teams, obviously agents. We should have some nice cap room with all the salary dump non-qualifiers. Yeah, Cotter. Not part of the vision going forward. A cup clincher versus the defending champs. It's true. Troy Machine, I swear none of the insiders are ever correct unless the ink is already drying. Bobby, is your ultimate career goal to be like Friedman or LeBron? No, I never wanted to be in the breaking news business. I think that's what they're kind of known for. Definitely not my lane. Greer made 2 really dumb moves today. Maybe. True, but crazy overpay. But what did you think he was going to get from another team? This is the thing, guys. You have to adjust the expectation because this is the new cap world. It's a new world, a whole new world, and guys are going to get crazy paid. I'm debating. I'm trying to plan out my day here. Am I going to just stay on here? Am I going to take a break and come back tonight, or am I just going to stay on here the whole day? I have so many other things to do in life. This has been, I feel like I've lived at this desk for multiple days. Damage Inc. 1986. Kyler never got a chance with his coach. He constantly played with different players. He had the best hands on the team. I would say his hands are very good, but you need a little more than that, and it just didn't seem like it was materializing for whatever reason. But he did get kind of bounced around. He played with Jack for like 2 seconds. I think he played like a few shifts, a couple games. And then in the bottom 6 kind of rotated throughout, but I can understand why they moved on. Definitely a nice guy and had a little bit of that chip on his shoulder. But R. Roma says Sunny sitting today out is my favorite thing he's done so far. Well, it's still early, relatively speaking. $17 million for Nurse and Trouba is bad. Cross turn 95. Sorry, just tuned in. You think Dawes is going to be our guy? I definitely think there's a possibility of it. We've talked about this going back a few days. I definitely think it could be a calculated gamble by Sunny Mehta. A lot of people are deathly afraid of it. And we won't know till we know. Is there a chance that Dawes is not part of the plan to start with the Devils? That's possible too, but who is he going to get? What other goalie do you bring in? Elliot's back. Alice, I just heard you interview Nico. So very exciting. Oh, you're talking about the Nico, the trade call? Bobby, Trouba wasn't leaving California due to his wife's current situation. Nick Paul to the league confirmed. Andrew Luke and Mike Miller's call on the radio in 2000 was epic. Just catching up. Nico and Boquist, good interviews. Yep. Mr. White, Caps aren't messing around. Boone Jenner is a real solid low-key pickup for them. Sonny has some work to do in order to finish above the Canes and Caps. Or do just enough to finish third in the Metro. Yeah, it's crazy. What a summer for the Capitals, huh? Tuck, Kyrou, and Boone Jenner. Ovechkin has to be coming back. Devil Heaven says anything new on Helly. I don't know that there ever was anything. I don't think there ever was anything. It was just speculation. Metalander, did Shakir Mahakmadoulan get traded to the Oilers in the Nurse deal? Yes. If so, that is the last of the Timo trade pieces for the Sharks. It was Zetterland. I don't remember what the other little things were in there. Ovechkin will eventually be signing. Yeah. Caps made some really good moves this year. Metro is going to be tough. David S., I think we really missed out on Stuart Skinner 2 years for $7 million. I would have given him $5 million per season to be our goalie. Less than Markey and much younger. I mean, what is the appeal of Stuart Skinner, though? Yeah, it's hot everywhere, man. It's a scorcher. 95. Mr. White, Nick Paul to the Leafs for peanuts. Shaka is cooking up a real good team. Could Toronto be back? Bobby, wish we could have kept McEwen. Would have loved to see him healthy. Yeah, I think Sunny just has a different vision. $107 tomorrow with the heat index. That's brutal. I don't think I'm with you, Pete. I don't think there was ever anything there either. I think it was just nonsense. Complete nonsense. Just stop checking your phone. Every time you do, I think my feed froze. I guess I'll try to just keep talking when I'm looking at my phone. There's things going on. I'm trying to follow all this. Bringing the boon. 4 years, 23 mil. 5.75 million cap hit. Stu is garbage. Yeah, I don't know what the appeal of Skinner is. I think there's a chance that Dawes could be better than Skinner. I mean, Glenn Riley says, Dawes, we are going to have a losing season with this guy in net. Well, first of all, it's not official yet. But I don't know how you could just assume that either. Krungs, I remember reading a comment from an Oilers fan talking about how much players laugh when they score on Skinner because he's so cooked. JJ Dog says, I doubt Sunny is going into the season with more than a couple million in cap space. I also agree with that. Christopher says you might as well stay on. I know, but I might need a break, man. It's been a long couple days. Alan, Sunny vision of the team with a bunch of pushovers. Oh, boy. Here we go again. Did you guys not learn your lesson from a few days ago around the draft until yesterday? You've learned nothing? No lessons learned? No takeaways? Nothing? Jay Fay, this year's Hudson River rivalry is going to be interesting. Both the Devils and Rangers are going to look a bit different, probably. Bob to the Leafs. Yeah, we knew that was coming. What's going on, Christopher? Alan says, come on, go out and get some players with balls. Snow Devil really wanted Jenner. James is super negative. Why is Sunny not doing anything? This is almost insanity. What's going on, Patterson Plank Road? Krung said people like to be miserable. There's certainly tons of them. Alice, I don't understand how moving on from DJ Pauly sees an improvement. He's got those silky mitts, played well with Gritzy, and was dependable in the shootout. I bet he's a great locker room guy, too. I think it just comes down to production. I mean, what did he have last year? Is this probably 20-something points? I mean, oh, my God, not even. He had 15 points, 9 goals, and 6 assists. I mean, that's kind of rough. It's kind of rough. I think they're looking for guys with a little more upside. Cross turn 95. The only criticism I have of Sunny thus far is the return for Nemitz. I really wish we got roster pieces. I think a lot of people are in that boat, and it's not going to help people feel better today, or help curb their FOMO, I would say, because they see all these other deals and they're like, where's the Devils deals? But I think the Devils will be in a very good position at the deadline to make a huge move. I know. I think everyone thinks that there should be some improvements before the season, and I agree as well. But the big piece could be a deadline situation. Pete the Schmidt says Tarasenko and Kane still available, and Sunny we trust. Dun dun dun. Lomberg would have been an awesome ad from Calgary. That guy's a mutant. Man, poor Nate Bastian never had a chance. He was pinned against the boards, and Lomborg was just destroying him. A savage beating, honestly. Yeah, I don't know why you guys are treating free agency like it ends in 2 hours, because this is how people are. A lot of day left. Devils fans, patience. James says, my only hope is Jack told Sunny Quinn isn't signing. I'd imagine he's very much aware of the situation. Glenn says, with 890 save percentage in Utica, come on, Ace, you and I both know that's trash. This is where you can't look at, especially for a goalie, look at statistics in the AHL and then just be like, this guy sucks. Because that's a completely inaccurate way of looking at a goalie. You know, Utica was not great last year. They started off terribly. I'm sure their defense was a bit porous. There's been cases of guys who have had subpar numbers in the AHL, and then they go on to have better numbers in the NHL, and that was the case with Dawes. I believe a few seasons ago. Devils a little bit more defensively responsible in front of them, and you know it's obviously not encouraging to see bad numbers in the minor leagues, but it's certainly not an indictment of a player's ability to play at the NHL level. Patterson Plank Road, I'd like to see the Devils add more gritty thumper types who could also fill those 8 to 10 minute roles, guys that could also move up, give the skill guys more space to operate. Yeah, I think a lot of people have wanted to see the gritty types added to this roster. Boquist had 4 goals and 9 assists last year. Yeah, but Sunny has obviously identified something in him that he values what he brings. He had 23 points the season before, 12 goals and 11 assists. Chris says, Russo fighting with Devils fans on Twitter was the highlight of the day. What is that about? Russo as in the Wild reporter, are you referring to? Boquist was a cap throwing. Yeah, and I think I guess I got to really look at the team on paper. He definitely has a chance to be in the bottom 6. Dirty Devils 2219 as a diehard reading these comments pissed me off. Clueless fan base get attached to players for who they are and not their production. Learn the game. A lot of people have, you know, personal attachments to guys. It's part of sports, but yeah, you shouldn't let it completely cloud your kind of judgment of things that are going on. Devil Heaven says Sunny loading up the arsenal behind the scenes. What do you think he's loading up? Vinny Trocheck to Utah. RJM hasn't even had an offseason camp to assess his team. Give the man time to assess what he needs. Fitz had years to assess and make adjustments and barely did. Steve says some fans starting to head back to the ledge. Super predictable. Completely predictable that this would happen. Megan said Quinn isn't signing where? Minnesota with us. Quinn is still under contract for 1 more season. The entire hockey world has been waiting to see if he signs an extension with Minnesota, but he's not a free agent. The Devils cannot sign him. No other team could sign him right now other than the Minnesota Wild. Randall says Brodeur had shit AHL stats way back. Was he garbage? Michael S. says Dawes Analytics suggest he is an above-average goalie. TJW McEwen looked decent for us last season in his limited time. Way better than McDermott ever did. McEwen was a tough guy who could actually play, but he signed in Toronto today. Boquist brings a complete game, all the little details, also winning and experience in his blood. Boquist is a north-south straight line speedster. I mean, listen, if someone said, who do you think will bring more to the table in a bottom six role at this juncture, Paul Cotter or Boquist, I would pick Boquist. Now, you know, there's no way to, well, it's not apples to apples, but I'd imagine if he plays regularly with the Devils, I would suspect or predict he will have more points than A, he did last year, and B, I guess what Cotter had last year as well. Snow says Sunny sees something in Dawes. You have to think so, right? He gave him 1.1 mil. Snow Devil, Sunny's been GM for 2 months already, and we haven't won a cup yet. We definitely have to fire him. I would have liked McEwen over Boquist. Interesting. Makes the fourth line a more physical line. Chris said, yeah, Ace, the Wild beat writer out of the blue went after JP on Twitter, stating the Devils fans are obsessed with Quinn and Jack is going to Mini. Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't engage in this type of stuff, but it certainly seems like a lot of people have been talking about the Quinn stuff, I guess, and I guess Russo had enough. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not abreast of this issue, but it sounds intriguing. Arrest Tom Fitzgerald. I'm fine rolling with Dawes and Allen if it means we get another offensive winger. Only so much money you could spend a year, right? There is a cap. You're willing to roll on the Dawes-Allen tandem if that money is invested up front. I mean, I think that's a logical kind of thought process. Whether it works out or not is a whole different story, but it certainly is not a bad kind of philosophy. Jay Fay, I just realized who's our brawler now. We don't have McEwen anymore, and Dylan can't get all the fighting majors himself. I feel like he's been getting all the fighting majors himself anyway. It would be nice to see some guys with some of that that attitude. At least Cotter scored in shootouts. It's true. Specialist. Devil Evans said Boquist looked really good in those playoffs with the Cats. What is the Trocheck return? Sean Dursey, Cole Dowen in the third round pick. What? Is this accurate? Oh man, the chat's exploding. Pulp Mystic going without a number one goalie is punting on the season in the middle of our contention window. There's no way Sunny does that. Well, I'm curious, Pulp Mystic, if you had to pick at this stage of the game to bring in a more established goalie or spend all the money on the offense, what would your preference be? Devil Heaven says winger for sure. Cross turn 95. Which of our left shot defensemen do we think is leaving? Conventional wisdom would say either Brendan Dillon or Jonas Siegenthaler. Dan Jenks says, I'll settle for some guys that hit, but in today's NHL, if you hit someone, you have to be ready to fight. Players don't take hits anymore. I mean, it is funny, right? How almost every time like a superstar gets drilled, someone comes and fights them. I'm not mad at it. A lot of people are like very against it, and a lot of times look at the extra penalty. Jay Snow, need another top 6 guy with grit. That's probably been the number one want for most logical people, I think, for a while. Mr. Dizzle, I think you said this yesterday. You're incorrect. The pronunciation is Mehta. You are wrong. You are completely wrong. It is not Meta. It is Sunny Mehta. I think you tried to correct me last night too. You're completely incorrect. Yeah. VTech is certainly a choice. Del Heaven, you got to think Helly is a lot done with Winnipeg. There's Patterson Plank Road. I posted about this goalie versus offense thing yesterday. Offense wins regular season games. Defense and goaltending win playoff series. So it's safe to say your vote, Patterson Plank Road, would be for the goaltender. 2 more minor signings for the Devils: Mark McLaughlin and Xavier Perrant. Most likely Utica guys. Riley Tuft, 850 one way. Xavier Perrant. Oh, Mark McLaughlin. Let's see if it's in the tab over here. I guess I'll go through all these one by one. Ah! What the heck is going on with my computer? I'm going to come with all these underwhelming signings right now that everyone's going to complain about. I'm just getting the graphics together, folks. We could go through this little series of depth moves. XP getting paid. All right, let's get situated here. Yeah, Devils with 3 signings. Okay. So we got some Devil signed Kolyach, and I'm not even going to try to butcher it. Devils announced that the team has signed Vladislav. We'll just call him Vladislav to a 1-year, one-way contract worth $850. The announcement was made by General Manager Sunny Mehta and the Devils assistant manager Utica Comets General Manager Braden Birch. Yeah, so this guy is earmarked for the league too. We might see we might see 2 defensemen moved out, honestly. Kolyachnik split time last season between the Bruins and Stars organizations, starting the season in Dallas before being claimed off waivers on December 16, 2025 by Boston. Later returned to the Stars organization when he was reclaimed January 21st, 2026. He played 11 NHL games with Dallas, 1 goal, 2 assists, 4 penalty minutes, 34 AHL games with Texas, 1 goal, 8 assists, and 2 NHL games with Boston. He skated in 5 Calder Cup playoff games. 87 career NHL regular season games over 5 seasons, scoring 5 goals and 12 assists for 17 points. Left-handed shot, made his NHL debut with the Arizona Coyotes on January 17, 2022. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, so I think that's going to push somebody else. I think there might be 2 defensemen on the move. Then we got another depth move announced today. Forward Riley Tuft, 1 year, one way, $850. It looks like Sonny's trying to get NHL talent at league minimums. At league minimums. Tuft played the last 2 seasons in the Bruins organization, most of the year with their AHL team in Providence. 56 points, 32 goals, 24 assists with 71 penalty minutes in 64 games. 6'6", 245. That's a big boy. Winger finished 4th in the AHL in goals and 10th in plus minus. He also skated in 4 games in Boston, scoring 1 goal. Blah, 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 blah. So this is looking like a 4th line piece. Or at least a potential 4th line piece. Big size. big size. Then we got Xavier Perrant, 1 year, 2-way contract. Probably starts in Utica. $850 at the NHL level, $175 at American Hockey League level, $200,000 guaranteed. 39 goals for him, 20 goals, 19 assists with 80 penalty minutes in 63 games with Utica past season. Xavier Perrant. A lot of people wanted to see him get a little more of a opportunity. McLaughlin. Team has re-signed McLaughlin, 1 year, 2-way. Can most likely probably a Utica situation. $850 at the NHL level and $350 for AHL. Announcement made by Sunny Mehta. He played 7 games for the Devils last year. After being sidelined for the majority of the season due to an upper body injury, he came back February 15, 2026 with the Comets. Had a season high 3. He logged the season high 3 points. I think they must have missed the game there. He played in 23 games with the Comets and had 14 points, 6 goals, 8 assists. So that's where we're at right now. Just these little minor moves, and people are out for blood again. People are out for blood again. Elliot says Robo will do arbitration. Jay Snow, the Devils linked to anyone? Not to my knowledge. Michael says, Mike, feels like we might have given up way too much for Timo at this point, hindsight being 2020. I mean, what was the real loss, though? Are you just saying this now because Mahak Madulin was part of the Nurse deal? Krung said, James, I agree. You should just stop being a Devils fan and stop watching or commenting because the Devils are so bad. I haven't seen anything on Drew yet. Patterson Plank Road, I stumbled on a broadcast on NHL Network. I saw Riley tough to play. He's got the goods. Good skater, good hands, gets himself in position to shoot the puck off the pass, and he's a large, imposing figure. TJ Case is absolute garbage. No top 6 yet, and questionable goalie tandem plus 0 defense. Dougie's still employed. Dougie, I never thought was going anywhere. The top 6 thing, we'll see if that ever gets if that gets addressed in the off season. Presify says you people should realize a big move is probably imminent. There's a reason why Sunny hasn't signed anyone yet, but small AHL and depth moves so far. TJK, I'm still confident Sunny is replenishing the awful AHL team. I mean, it seems I'm sitting by and just patiently waiting with everyone else to see what else breaks. Still a lot of possibilities. Devlin said, I changed my mind. Someone give James a rock bottom. I used to actually do the rock bottom to my younger brother when we were kids. Sorry, bruh. I used to do a lot of wrestling moves to him. I was always twice his size. So it was a little bit easier. I might need a break for my mental sanity. I'm getting text. Steve the Maniac is on one right now. Completely on one. Just going on and on and on. And then I got you people. It's really this fan base, the fan base really has a lot of lingering trauma for the years of just being a terrible team. The Fitzgerald administration, it's a whole lot. It's really a lot. You're just making this up again. I don't see the Hellebuck thing happening. Justin Source is himself. Have tough suit up against the Rangers. Bobby said, dumb question. Can trades still be made after midnight? Yeah. Are you talking about trades or are you talking about signings? But either way, either way, there'll be movement. There'll be some deals going down tomorrow and probably for the next several days. So you'll see things leaking out. Devil Heaven says the pedigree doesn't work on James. Tombstone is being handed out. I used to do all of it. Stone Cold Stunners. My favorite though is just the good old fashioned choke slam. Just send somebody up for the ride. My brother was small, man. It was oh, the poor kid. I probably done every wrestling finish to him dozens of times. Very underwhelming so far. I'll agree, but like I said for the past week, I am sitting back and waiting to see how it plays out. If this was all that gets done before the season started, I would say completely underwhelming but we're not there yet. So I'm just waiting. I'm sitting back and waiting to see what's going on. Oh, Matthew, you guys, I'm exhausted mentally and physically. Ace says he doesn't want to be the breaking news guy, but was literally on his roof last night at 1 a.m, pointing an antenna at the Canadian border, trying to intercept a Winnipeg radio signal. Yeah, what was that all about? I was already delirious at that point. But yeah, I think that was just a radio station. I don't know if people are pulling my leg or if it was the radio station, just kind of speculating. Doug, honestly happy about Dawes potentially proving himself this year. It's a risk, but it can really pay off. We've been sitting on him for years now. Why not let him get a crack at serious time? It's a calculated gamble. I think the issue is if it doesn't work out, you're potentially burning another precious season of a core where there's been several seasons already burned. It's almost like, and I think that's obviously a lot of the fuel for the people that are like, do everything you can right now. And to some extent, I get it, but I don't think it's worth making improvements that aren't ideal. And I do think there's tons of guys that would improve the team. But if it puts you in a bad spot cap-wise going forward, or you're burning all your available assets in trade, then you might be better off to wait slightly. But there has to be some improvements made. You can't bring back this team plus Evan Rodriguez, in my opinion. Already a nice improvement, I'll say, but that's a depth improvement. I think everyone is still waiting for that pow. They want the pow. And we haven't seen it yet. But to the Dawes experiment, it could pan out well. But if it doesn't pan out, you're looking at another wasted season. And at this point, there is absolutely no more seasons to waste with this core. Several have been wasted in recent years. Show Talk, I don't know what Devils fans really expected from today. Free agent class is the weakest one we've seen in a while. Well, I think people are very they would be very receptive to a trade as well. I don't think people are specifically honing in on free agents. Snow Devil said, I was expecting us to get at least Quinn and McDavid this far into free agency. Sunny sucks. Fentanyl Floyd getting rid of Markstrom's contract and extending Nico is a win in itself. It's a small win, but you need more than that. Tell Evan, shout out to Sunny cleaning the Stickfigs 8-way trade to bring Hellebuck, Robertson, and Quinn to New Jersey. Yeah, right. These are some of the things people were saying last night. It was like, get every star person there is. Noah Ace, how does Joe Stalja feel about the current state of the Devils? He's blowing up my phone with hate right now. The maniac and his brother are both group texting me just straight venom, just nonstop venom. They too both have been affected by the post Fitzgerald stress disorder. Snow Devil, trades can happen anytime from today until the trade deadline. Nick Foligno re-signed by Minnesota, 1 year, $900K. Krung's most big names don't even move day one unless they had plans way before the trade deadline. I'm just waiting to see how it plays out. Michael S. Ace, imagine how miserable some of these people would be if they didn't have Speaking of the Devils for their therapy. I don't even know if it's therapy or if it's just a place to unload your deepest, darkest thoughts. Stickfigs, you plan on being here for a while more? If yeah, I'm getting some takeout. If not, I'm going to the gym. Honestly, I don't know. I think, all right, so I'm going to stay on here till 5:30, I think. All right, so I hope that helps. I'm going to stay on here till 5:30. Then I need to take a couple-hour break for my mental sanity. I've been living on this desk here. I have some other stuff to do. I will be back at night or sooner if something breaks. But I'm going to stay on here until 5:30. I do need a little bit of with the development camp and everything else. I'm going to need some more caffeine here. The coffees ain't cutting it anymore. Sunny really hit a home run today. I love players who we never heard of. Jack Hughes trade demand coming. Oh my God, James, you might be in the Hall of Fame of doomers. You're a first ballot dooming Hall of Fame member. Doug says if Sunny unloads 1 to 2 D-men, that's a big sign he might be trying to take a crack at Robertson, but then again, it's just too much cap he's asking for. It doesn't necessarily have to be Robertson, though. It's just potentially setting himself up to take a run at something or some things. James said, this is a place to unload. My friend stopped answering my messages. Who's our fighter if the Rags ice Rempenstein? As of right now, it would still be Dilly, but I always want. There's a Tom. Well, I mean, it's not going to happen now, but Tom Wilson has always been a guy where you're like, this guy does everything and just an absolute menace. Matthew says, stick. Why not get the takeout and bring it to the gym? Break out the booze on the second half on part 2. Part 2 will start probably at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. That'll be the second portion of the program. And I might have to start boozing at that point. Some of the things that are just between social media, the chat here, my text messages, it's a lot of negativity. A lot of negativity. Has anyone caught your eye at development camp? Yeah, check out the video. Did you see the video? Did you watch the video? I put out a video with some clips from yesterday. But Matthias Van Hanen, to me, the guy the Devils took in the second round, 37th overall, was very impressive. He was impressive again today. Listen, but here's the thing. A lot of these kids look good, right? I mean, they're young kids that an NHL scouting department has earmarked as potential NHL talent. So these guys, even if these guys never played a game of hockey in the National Hockey League, they are very good hockey players. They are playing at a high level, whether it's juniors, college, whatever right now, but were drafted by an NHL team. And that NHL team was the New Jersey Devils. But if I had to pick one for me, it would be Van Hanen over SST Woodson and Mr. White. SST is definitely a doomer. I would put Woodson and Mr. White in a different category. I wouldn't consider Woodson, and I don't even know what happened to Woodson. We haven't seen him in a minute. But Mr. White and Woodson are both just, I would call them pessimistic, passionate, longtime fans. Very different. I think SST is in a category of his own. But Woodson and Mr. White, I like both of them. They're just very critical and very enraged, but it comes from being a passionate, longtime fan who has been subject to the abuse that the Devils fan base has been subject to for the better part of, 12 to 15. I guess it depends on when you look at it, but 12 to 15 years. 12 to 15 years for the people that were fans during the glory years. It makes watching what kind of has happened in recent times that much more painful, because the fall off, the absolute decline will be studied. Yeah, Robertson always wanted to stay in Dallas, but he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to stay in Dallas and get super paid. Eventually, I think they come to an agreement. I mean, at that point, if you want to stay there that bad, leave a little more meat on the bone. Leave some meat on the bone. Connor, that sports guy, every time I open Puckpedia and look at their free agent signings and see Byram as the largest signing, it makes me more and more disgusted every time I look at it. It's a new cap era, friends. It's a new cap era. People are going to get paid. Doug says, in Sunny, we trust. I'm fine with being patient. At some point, the patience has to have a deadline, but July 1 at 5:02 is pretty premature. Patterson Plank Road says Jack Hughes is going to demand a trade. All right, trade 4 players that will help the Devils. Fixed it for James. Norman Rogers right there with you on Wilson. Yeah, he's just a special guy. Stickfig said, I'll be on the bench nibbling on some fries in between sets. If only I didn't run to the gym. What's Team USA tonight? Bobby said, you're definitely calmer and less animated since the new job page. Was that part of your hiring contract? No. Am I? I think I'm still pretty jacked up. Ace, the Husky star, don't forget to drop a like for our boy Ace. Appreciate you. Every like brings us one step closer to another cup. I thought I was going to say something else. Patterson Plank Road, I watched about 15 minutes of the camp video. Yeah, there's Van Hannon is in there throughout, and the video that at this point it's gonna have to be tomorrow morning, just because I'm gonna get off here at 5:30 ish, maybe 5:45, but somewhere between 5:30 and 5:45. I'm gonna end this portion of the program. I have to get some food, do a couple other things, then I'm gonna eventually return at night. Yeah, so the video is not going to drop tonight. I have no way of getting that out before tomorrow morning, unfortunately. We're just in a time warp right here. But the skills contest video from camp will be coming out tomorrow. Like I said, these guys were drafted by the Devils as hopeful NHL players. So to me, they pretty much all look good. Some look better than others. I'll say some of those guys had some rough time with the targets. The target shooting drill is not easy. Dr. PG DeBrusque 29 at 5.5 for 5 more years, wants out of Vancouver. Might be worth investigating for Sunny. What do you think? I think underwhelming. I think, again, does he improve the team? Yes, but where, is he a legitimate answer for a top 6 piece? Like, I'm going to say people would flame that. I think people would certainly flame that. I don't think that that's substantial enough. Jason, where is Command going next year? Is he going to play in the SHL? I'm not sure what his plans are. There are junior players that could graduate to the AHL, NHL. Half Naked Frankenstein, what's up? Utica's gonna look pretty different, likely for the better. It's actually interesting. It'll be Mehta and Co's fingerprints all over it. Bonzo, since we're not getting Quinn, why not trade the hurt Hughes? Oh my God, I can't even entertain some of this stuff. It's just crazy. I wonder what Sonny's looking for. That's what we're all looking for. 1 playoff win in 15 years. Series win, Michael. Series win, but yeah. SST said, I don't want to share the glory with anyone. Oh, you won't, sir. You are in a special category. Guys, just so you know, SST sent me emails that he wished I died. Legitimately. He's lucky I don't ban him from here, too. He literally wrote me emails that he wished I died. The only reason why I didn't ban him is because, like, how am I going to punish him for clearly not being, like, there's clearly something wrong with him. And so I'm going to give him a pass. But he literally sent me an email wishing death upon me. Nice guy. Real nice guy. James Israel, I've been watching this channel since the beginning, the best around. Thank you. Jay Snow, the organization has been brutal since 2012. I do get the fan reaction. The rebuild has been never ending. Absolutely. But you cannot you can't fault and attack a new guy for the failures of everyone before him. And you also can't expect him to fix it in 3 seconds. Stickfix says, we're tier listing the Doomers now. Maybe Woodson didn't get the memo that we moved channels. SST is the OG. Jay Snow says, where's the meat on the bone meter? It's right here. Bang! The meat on the bone meter. I gave the Nico deal a 3. I'm saying it's a 3.
He's pretty and he lives in Jersey City, number 13, Nico Hishauza.
Nico Hishauza. It's a 3. He left a little meat. Not a ton. Didn't scrape it clean. It's a 3. Joe Cade, you don't concern yourself with the appetizers at a restaurant as much as you do the main course, and it feels like that's what Sunny's doing, prioritizing fourth-line players over larger, glaring needs. I certainly don't think that means it's a priority just because they got announced first. For all you know, or for all anyone knows, he could be working on some whoppers right now. Some of those moves aren't even fourth-line players. Some of those moves are AHL players for Utica. SST said Woodson goes under a different name here now, but I won't tell which one. Really? I want to know. Can't you at least tell me? I'll keep it a secret. You should at least tell me. No Choking says we've got 2 Nikos, 2 Jespers. Let's get 2 Connors. That's a very interesting kind of thought. Oh, soccer team USA. I'm so down the hockey rabbit hole. And I'm not a soccer guy. I typically watch the World Cup final, but that's about it for me. Yo, Holmes. Hey, yo. Guess who just called me? NJ Devils ticket reps. I'm not surprised. Jay Snow said, do you get free chicken fingers now? No, I do not. Connor, that sports guy. Brassois, 1 year, 1.1 mil with Anaheim. Is Van Hanen starting at Utica? No, he's either going to go back to his junior team overseas. I think it was in... Was it in... I think it was in... Oh, no, he was in the OHL, I think. Or WHL. He was with the Silver Tips. That's right. He was in the WHL. So he's either going to go back there or he's going to go potentially to college. He wouldn't tell me which one, but he's talked to several colleges. He's weighing his options right now. Just the name says a lot of low-level signings, slightly concerned. Man, you guys really, it's a special group. Sports fans are just special in general. Seahawk Devil, I agree with Bobby. You didn't agree to toe the company line and wave pom-poms as a kid. No. Absolutely not. I'm always going to give my real opinion. My real opinion right now is that wait and see what happens. If there's no improvements of significance before the season, then I would say it was a bad offseason. But we're not there yet. And he's exhibited clearly that he's capable of making deals. Clearly, he's capable of making deals. He might not make the ones that you guys want to see, but he's clearly capable of making deals and is going about this reconstruction project in a logical way. Again, wants to win now and in the future. I still think they should have traded the 12th overall for a win now piece, but what are you going to do? You got to tend to both needs, win now and win later. No choking 12, but there should be an emphasis on win now, though. The core is getting older. No choker 1271. Please raw footage. Don't edit it. Just upload. It's still it still takes a level of editing and time just to put it up. It's very time consuming, to be honest with you. All of this stuff is. Salaya was not at camp. The development camp was for this year. They did guys drafted in 2025 and 2026. One of the smallest groups. I think it was actually the smallest development camp group ever. There was only 2 defensemen, 2 goalies. I don't know, like a dozen or so forwards. Yo, Holmes, another open day of free agency with hot nothing. But remember, guys, getting healthy is like making a trade. I hate that stuff. I really hope that's not the thought process. Bobby Whitting, the one guy they drafted last year, is super short, even in the video, Mason Moe. I'll be honest. I've talked about this for a long time now. Just current players are just nowhere near the behemoth monster men that used to play in the NHL. Like, even to this day, shout out to Colin White. Monster of a man. Just an intimidating, imposing figure. Nowadays, it's a whole new world. A whole new world. Jay Snow, I think we need some kind of upgrade to the forward group. Not saying it has to be a major move. Completely agree. Completely agree. Brandon, everyone wants huge name signed, but then we'll cry about the cost for the huge name. That's also correct. Patterson, Plank Road, DeBrusque reminds me of Tyler Toffoli. Pass. Bobby says Command is under contract in the next 2 years in the SHL. Yeah, but can't they always get out of there? I feel like they always have a way out. I'm not going to ban people. I mean, you know, unless you go really over the line. I think SST was the only person ever banned from the other channel. You guys are... No, I didn't. There's a difference. Tons of people disagree with me, and I've never banned anyone else. It goes way beyond just disagreeing with me. Let's full stop. I'm not gonna waste time. You know, dude, you're just collect records. Robertson's leaving zero meat on the bone if he stays in Dallas. There won't even be bones left. Just cauliflower wings. Megs, Ace, you were right about Nico, but please win the Lord Stanley Cup now. Oh, right about him coming back. I mean, it was, you know, it was kind of. Dougie, thank you for the super. We should sign Ovi or trade for Crosby. I mean, this is where it's just crazy pipe dreams. Anytime a team could add an all-time legend, even if they're at the end of their career, certainly just even from a marketing perspective would be interesting. But in terms of actual production, Sidney Crosby would give you way more than Alexander Ovechkin, but Sid is going to be a Penguins lifer, and it's admirable. Even when it looked like they may never make the playoffs again, he was going to go down with the ship. Super admirable and super rare in sports in today's day and age. Yeah, soccer is definitely very popular with the youth, I've realized. Moose Man says, if Sunny thinks this is year 1 for him, he's sadly mistaken. It's at least year 6 for us in this rebuild. We're so not into punting yet another season. I get all the sentiments, but before the pitchforks come out again, can you just give it some time? We're still in day 1 of free agency. If the season rolls around and this was the offseason, then I'm going to say it wasn't a good offseason. Snow Devil, we have $8.5 million in cap space now. We aren't going to sign 8 more fourth liners. Y'all need some patience. And also possibly facilitating trades, separate trades to get salary out before making a bigger move. But, you know, no one wants to hear that. With every deal that gets announced, the FOMO gets increased more and more. Half Naked Frankenstein says, I give Nico a 2 on the bone scale. If he gets more of a chance for offense, I think he's going to get nasty. A 2? Come on, man. That's a lot of meat. There was nowhere near that much meat left. It's a 3. It's a 3, and I might be able to be talked into a 4. I was kind of hovering between 3 and 4, but for the first year of the deal, for his $11.7 million cap hit to be 10% in the first year, and then obviously as the cap goes up, the percentage is going to come down. I think 3 is the nail right on the head there. Dr. PG, but we haven't a lot of Devils fans saying we haven't had anyone since Toffoli or that we should have kept him. DeBrusque could be a 30-goal scorer on Jack swinging at 5.5. That's pretty decent. I think I don't know. I don't fully comprehend what you're asking here, but I think most people are saying there hasn't been a legitimate top 6 winger for Jack since Tyler Toffoli was dealt. So DeBrusque could be that guy, but I don't think people are looking for more potentially viable top 6 guys. They want like a slam dunk top 6 guy, and I get that too.
Rent free. David Chimes joining late. Don't you think the Nico extension, other than term, was nothing short of great negotiation by Sunny? I think great is a strong word. I think it was a sensible deal for both parties. Right around the number where most people were predicting the Nico deal to come in at. And he wanted to stay in New Jersey, and he gets to do just that. So I think, you know, I would say if it was an 11 million cap hit, I would have called it great, but it's good. I mean, oregano dealer, Sonny's been very methodical. I respect it. I still think he's not done, so I keep faith until then. Logical approach. Jay Snow, a lot of Fitz picks look awful from last year. Jay Snow, it's insane. They're top athletes, and they're not big dudes. A lot of them, a lot of these guys I saw at camp are not, you know, they're not necessarily short, but when you see their build, you're like, oh my God. Just hockey players today are very different than back in the day. David Chimes, my only issue with Sunny is the Nemo return. I love everything else he's done. Look at the return teams are getting on D-men. Byram now the highest paid D-man in the NHL. Yeah, but he also averaged 40 points for the last 2 seasons. Like to just include Shimo Nemitz in that category, I think is a bit wild. You want to talk about trajectory, potential. He was drafted number 2. Yeah, you could say all those things, but you got to go out there and do it. I already read this. So David said, I can't stand Bud Ice. You never banned me. I never loved Bud Ice, but it's a great light. I did go through a couple. I think I was on a little Bud Ice wave during the 2012 playoff run. I think Bud Ice was I think I started the playoffs with it, and the team was doing well. So I think I stuck with it. Dan Ulrich, DeBrincat doesn't help with our size, but he fills the net. That's, I can't see it. I can't see it, and I just, I could never say that I would rank him as like a guy that'd be a great fit. Listen, any offense that could be brought in to help out would be good, but I think you at some point you have to realize that the team does get bullied. Like it's just it's that's not a fallacy. Seems like the Hellebuck rumors were a crock of. I'm disappointed. I never believed it. Walt says, love trying to watch coverage of signings, trades, and it's so hot that the power keeps going out. You're getting power outages from the heat, Walt? Oh, you guys are very active in the chat. Jacob Meyer, I think people need to relax. Mantha, Kane, Tarasenko have not signed yet. Larkin, Robo, and Helly have not been traded yet. Just need to be patient. I know that's difficult for some. Oh, Jacob, stop talking sensibly. These people have zero patience. Zero. I put all my faith in CJOB 680. I feel bamboozled. Mooseman says Nico's contract is fine. Was expecting something like that. Yeah, I think most logical people were. Yep. David says easily a 4 can argue a 5. Oh, okay. Before I could live with 4. 5 is crazy. Look at the percentage of cap used on Nico, and he was a less proven out RFA. Not massively different. I think he was a little over 9% at that point. And I think at this juncture, he's proven to be a better player than he was at that juncture of his career. So you would expect the percentage to go up too. Who's the odd guy out in the forward group, you think? I have to look at it all on paper. I could see it. Would anyone even trade for Nason with the injury stuff? I don't know. I have to look at it all on paper and start slotting guys in. We'll eventually get there. It's way too soon for me to get there yet. I'm still just trying to read these oh so insightful dooming comments about how how terrible Sunny is and how the team's going nowhere. Trade a pick for Quinn Hudson. Oh, you guys. Definitely not. Yo, Holmes said us hockey fans of a certain age all had a Bud Ice phase. Yeah, I may have had two of them. The most recent one was that 2012. I think I had one in my earlier days before that. Snow Devil says Mercer or Timo. I don't think either is really top six material unless Timo is on a heavier crash line, or if he gets power play one time, that would be swell. Bud Ice was great at 19. Bobby says we need Luke to go out there and do it. His productivity is non-existent. I think he has a big year this year. Bud Ice, beware the Penguins drink Bud Ice. Doobie doobie doo. Snow Devil, a power outage in today's weather, I would park my car in the shade and wouldn't leave it. Potato from Mars, if we walk away with Mantha today or tomorrow, I'd say free agency was a win. I think many of these people would be underwhelmed with that. Jay Snow said he thinks he's going to get overpaid. James Valenti, Sunny traded Markey, whom was washed up to Florida for 2 forwards and no salary retention. That's a monster trade. People need to stop doubting Sunny. He's known for obtaining undervalued players. Well, these people want to obtain big-name players. Dan says Sunny is great. I actually like the idea of building up a winning culture in the A. There should be a winning culture everywhere. Ray Rage, with what you said about legends earlier, would Patrick Kane still be someone you'd want to go after? Yes, I think that was the context of the conversation. Absolutely. At the right price, I think he could still bring some production and can bring a ton of those intangibles. USA legend, the whole Jack Hughes connection. I think it makes sense in a lot of different ways, but it's got to be for super cheap. Suk said, I used to work at a liquor store, and there was an older gentleman who would come in once a week and buy out our whole inventory of Bud Ice, but it had to be the tall individual cans. That's the way to do it. G-Force, I guess it's fair to let everyone vent given the past 3 or 4 years watching everyone make a splash except us over and over. James said the Doomers calling for Sunny to go need to deposit their apologies in the comments. Now, these people are going to be depositing hate. Quinn hasn't been signed yet. Maybe something is brewing. Oh, man. It's definitely a possibility. My percentage of Quinn Hughes coming to the Devils anytime soon was super low the other day. It's still super low, but with each passing day, the percentage goes up a little bit just because it has to. Yeah, old neon beer signs are great. No, I don't have a ton. I have a few different Devils ones, but I don't have a ton. Joe Cates says, spend 20 minutes in the chat. You can tell who's over the age of 35 and who isn't. I think some of them would surprise you if I'm being honest. Some you could tell, but some I think you would be shocked. Jacob Meyer, would you rather sign one of the free agents or unload assets for a big name via trade? I mean, it just depends. That's totally circumstantial. I just think the team is at a point where they need to make meaningful upgrades, however they see fit. I don't really have a preference per se. SST said, you banned me for saying Jaguar deservedly got the Conn Smythe. How's that warrant the ban? You got the letter because of that. Now tell me how nice you were for banning me for the... I don't even remember if that's the case, but if you're going to compare getting banned from a YouTube channel to sending death letters, you're even crazier than I thought. Bobby says, patiently waiting for the heli news to break. Half Naked Frankenstein, I think people are way too horny for trades. Like, the Capital fan base is probably filled, but they could end up like the Predators a couple years back. I'm all for thoughtful moves to fill in the holes. David Chimes, chicken wing scale, best idea to grade things, but what would an alcohol scale look like? I don't know what you mean by that. Dan says, I think they're just trying to figure out how to fit 16, 18 million in the wild cap, unfortunately. Our Roma 3 Devils big winners today. They didn't hand out any bad contracts to these bums. Love Sunny. World's Worst Gamer, only wing we are getting is chicken wings on our own. What? Andrew says, you keep saying to stay patient. This fan base has been nothing but patient. Unfortunately for Sunny's part of taking this job comes with an impatient fan base. Just the name Sunny is gaining traction and getting acclimated. Should be an interesting summer. Where will Carlson go? No idea. Yeah, there was that too. A whole separate issue. Show talk, the sooner Devils fans forget the Quinn Hughes dream, the quicker they can start healing. The dream died with Fitz's incompetence. That's what I thought. But like I said, with each passing day that goes on, the percentage of them possibly getting dealt has to just go up at least a little bit. It has to. James Nichols said there's some irons in the fire and may go beyond today. Any idea what these irons are? No, and I don't think James does either. I think that's just speculating based on a variety of things. Obviously, available cap space, the fact that there has been no Sunny Mehta media availability scheduled yet, which I'm assuming is not going to be scheduled till he's done. So I think it's just kind of gathering context clues. Patterson Plank Road, dating myself. I went to the first ever NHL game played at the Meadowlands Arena. Preseason game, Rangers vs. Flyers, Cooperalls. Wow. A better time in society. Ray Rage says, I'm glad Utica's getting advanced. Would be seven guys who can play, be able to get called up when injuries happen. Imagine that. Imagine actually having a farm system with NHL talent in the wings. World's Worst Gamer says Quinn is coming to NJ for free. Bank on it. No trading anything for him. It's interesting. The Magician says anyone that believes Marty shouldn't have gotten the Conn Smythe deserves a ban. To be fair, I think that probably is an accurate statement. I'd ban you again for trying to justify that bum opinion. It's a terrible opinion. Jason said Sonny's doing a media thing when tomorrow. I'd imagine tomorrow. But it hasn't been scheduled yet. I'd imagine it's tomorrow, but maybe if he's still working on deals tomorrow, it gets put off till the next day. It hasn't been scheduled yet. The Four Directions 99. Very interesting to see what happens next. I'm satisfied with Sunny. No complaints here. Doing a great job again. Congrats on Channel H. Much deserved. Thank you. Appreciate that. World's Worst Gamer. I wish I could get a hold of those so my son could try playing in them. You could probably find, you're talking about the Cooperalls, you could probably find them online. If I had to bet right now, I would bet on Hellebuck going to Buffalo just because they'd been linked, and I don't know. If he went to Carolina, they'd be even more deadly. Jacob, if the Devils do trade one of Siegenthaler or Dillon, who would you rather be traded? I just think Dillon brings a lot more intangibles than Siegenthaler does, so I just think Dillon's a bigger loss overall, in my opinion, taking everything into consideration. But I mean, it seems like one of them definitely is going to be traded. What's going on, W. Sanks? Joe Cade, 30 years ago, I was able to see the Rocking Rollers, ate like a king, 4 rows up, all for $18 with parking. Last week, I took the family to see Supergirl. I spent $140 after all was said and done. Yeah, welcome to inflation and just price gouging at every turn. Devil Heaven, can Quinn walk next year off season without any trade? Technically, if the Wild I mean, I have to believe if he tells Guerin, I mean, would Billy J, we talked about this last night too. If he makes it clear he's not extending in Minnesota, does Guerin trade him or does he just ride it out and let him walk for free? I mean, that would be talk about all-in moments. That is wild. Perrant is back. Marty had 7 shutouts that playoffs and 3 in the finals alone. Completely insane. Sook says Devils are going to wind up with Helly somehow. I just feel it. It'll be an end-of-day announcement when things quiet down, then bang. Oregano dealer, it'd be sick if Sunny surprised everyone and steals Helly. Please. I just can't see Sunny. I just can't see it. It's not really an analytics guy kind of move to pay that kind of money towards goaltender. It would definitely be an unsuspected move. Ray just seems like the East is once again poised to be the superior conference by a decent margin. Any thoughts why that may be the trend? Even Dallas and Minnesota seem to be losing some depth. I mean, it's just because by default, one of them has to be better. Florida is loaded. Loaded. BG Cheese, free agency lasts all summer, so signing players will continue until the season begins. I know you cannot drink alcohol during post-game lives. How about non-alcoholic Peronis? I saw them at Whole Foods in Morristown. What is the point? Non-alcoholic beers and stuff? Like, I don't know. I think the big trades are done. Just the name, I think Sunny goes for a top 6 over goaltending. I would agree with that as well. Devil Heaven Cats are going to be a mess. Call it a mess. Kevin, watching Sunny work is amazing. We finally have a GM that works for the team. Connor, since free agency began, 100 contracts have been signed. Wow. Friedman already reported the Sabres backed out of Helly. Okay. David Chimes. Devil signings. Heischer, Dawes, and some minor leaguers. Dawes moved to pro roster. Still work on Utica extensions, but full pro roster with cap space to spare. Big game got to be incoming, right? That's kind of where I'm at. That is what I think. But these people are obviously impatient. They've showed their hand previously and are continuing to be impatient. It seems like something could be in the works. But until that happens, people are just going to keep on keeping on here, just with all the we're not doing anything. Suk said, I think the Devils are done today. I mean, maybe today, but I don't think, and I'm going to call it by Friday. I think something will happen by Friday. World's Worst Gamer reading up on Kolyachanik. He does not seem too bad. Maybe he works out for the team and we move on from one of these other guys that basically does the same. I definitely think there's going to be blue liners moved out. I don't think it's Robertson. Read my comment and you could go. Jason, if the Devils miss the playoffs again next year, the core must be broken up. No excuses. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair philosophy. Impatient? No, just asking for a winger. Okay, so give it some time. Spicoli says, no joke, we have one of the most laughable fan bases in the NHL. I'd imagine they're all equally as impatient and overall bad. Could pay and want to pay are two very different things. Could the Devils have paid that? Probably. They most likely did not want to. James, I agree with you. It's the cost is prohibitive. SST says the rate of reading out of my and Suk's comments are less than 10%. I protest. How about I protest that you and Suk are the same exact person? You are the same person. We all know it. The Magician, I've always held the opinion that a loser should never win the Conn Smythe. It's playoff MVP, and the objective of the playoffs is to win a cup. I hate it going to a losing team. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. I don't care how good you played in the conference finals. If you don't win a cup, you weren't that valuable. Doug said if other fan bases did live streams like this, you'd have people that are like this everywhere. I agree with that as well. I think this is not a Devils fan thing. This is a human being thing, and more specifically, as a subset of human beings, sports fans, special kind of crazy. Special kind of crazy. Dr. PG, I have a feeling if Sunny doesn't get hellbucked, he'll probably add another cheap veteran goalie. That's the big question at the of the moment. Is it going to be Dawes Allen, or will someone else be in the mix? The New York, New Jersey metro area is a different kind of impatient. Any emotions here? Suk, if the Devils miss the playoffs again next season, should be scorched earth. The following season better be a bunch of no names in the lineup while they again work on building a new team. Robertson is not happening. Doug says you get the best and worst of the worst when you do live streams and read chats. Half the time people just like to hear you rate their complaints. Dan, Sonny's playing poker and he's letting everyone else show their hands. Give it until the weekend. I would give it longer than that, but I do think, if something big is going to happen, it would most likely happen in that time span. Show talk, I've been impatient myself, but I give us a pass. Fitz did a number on us. Yeah, but this, like I said last night, Sonny did not hurt you. He was not the one to hurt you. OG New Jersey Devil, one of the things I've noticed is the Devils have not given a lot of the younger guys a shot over the years. We failed to find some of those kind of gems like a Dawes or Legare. More Stone Cold Stunners coming. Slang Ice 22. While I agree Marty should have won the Conn Smythe in 03, I disagree. It should always go to a team who won the Cup. I mean, if someone had someone on the losing team had such overwhelming stats that it was like, that's a different story. 2024 with McDavid, not the same as the Marty thing, though. No, you're not. You're the same person. Just stop it. You're your own person with your own feelings and opinions. No, you are SST. It's so obvious that it's you. I don't know, probably around maybe 9:45. Patterson Plank Road. Actually, since Raleigh is the closest NHL city to my home, I get to see Devils Canes games here. Canes have a Tampa Bay Rays type fan base. They show up for the postseason only. Sunny did not hurt you. Put it on a shirt. Yeah, okay. For the most part, I think someone on the winning team should get it. I don't think that it should be impossible for someone on the losing team to get it. But if someone on the losing team is going to get it, their stats and everything in their play must be way better than everyone else's. And that was not the case, obviously, in 03. Marty had an insane playoffs, 7 shutouts, 3 in the finals alone. A legendary outing for the playoffs. And they gave it to Jaguar, who had great numbers and he played well, but he didn't win the Cup, and Marty's numbers were almost identical to his. So I thought that was a little weak. Anders Lee getting paid for Utah. Doug, it honestly seems like more actions happen with the Devils the past 2 years when you aren't actively live streaming. Oh, you're going to blame me now? David Chime says, I actually think Jaguar deserved that. Conn Smythe said it and never got banned. I watched him single-handedly beat the Avs and loaded wings for his overmatched Ducks. Maybe if you go eat, they'll make a big move again. I'm checking out shortly. Slang Ice agreed, which is why only a few have won it. Once again, completely agree. Marty deserved it in 03. Yeah. Love the content, man. Keep it up. Thank you. It is what it is, SST. If I'm going to be accused of being someone, I'm glad it's you. Oh, my God. SST said, Sook, you need to win one of the giveaways and provide the NJ address. Even that won't be enough. How about this? We could solve this right now. I would bet a large sum of money that if I sent both SST and Sook a link to show up on the video, that there's no way that there's 2 different people to do that. Checkmate. SST is toggling back between 2 devices for his 2 usernames. There's probably a third one in here too. Yeah, his interview is pretty good. I think he's going to be a good ad. Yeah. Almost. Are Hellebuyck and Sunny past the predate stage of the relationship? Do you really think Patrick Laine is still a pipe dream for the Devils? No, I just don't think they'll be interested on taking the gamble, because I don't think it would cost a lot. James says Sunny is going to move either Siegs or Kovacevic and add more forward help. He's stocking up on depth defense. Yeah, but I think you got to look at the left side. See, Kovacevic is right. I don't know that he's going to be a guy they're looking to move. When did you email me? I never got your email. Laine, I think he's 28, but still plenty of time. Laine on a show me contract is perfect. Yeah, especially if it's super cheap. James, if Heischer and Rodriguez interviews don't get us fired up, not sure what will. Man, Nico also alluded to some more moves. Sound like Sunny took him through the plan and he loved it. I never got your email. At this point, we should sign Yager. Dr. PG could definitely see Dylan go as a piece going to the Jets in the Hellebuyck trade. Apparently, they wanted him back when he signed with the Devils. Jets also need some depth on D. That'd be interesting. Bobby Whitting, SST might have multiple personalities disorder. Well, I never got it. Samuel says mental health break, dude. It's coming soon. Oh, shit, I'm already past it. James, I'm learning more about Sunny as this offseason is being navigated. He's all about value, so it seems free agency isn't his thing. I'm fine with it, thrilled with his progress so far. Michael, don't want to invest in Helly now. Rather just give a kid a shot and trade if needed later. Would rather move Mercer and sign a winger. All right, that's it. I'm taking my break. I'm gonna post the thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it. I'll probably make it for like 9:45. We'll be back, and maybe sooner if something breaks.
If something happens, I'll probably be back sooner. Free agency, July 1. Follow me on X. I'll drop that one more time in the chat. Follow me on there. Follow me on the Instagram. If you care about the oh so bright future, check out the development camp video. I'll drop that down. And I'll be back in a little bit. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends. Free agency frenzy continues.